Blog Talk Radio.
My ancestors woke me up this morning. They said, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I said, what time is that? They said it's wartime, so welcome to the war front. Brothers and sisters, War on the Horizon is broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. And now we're broadcasting live. Listen to our live lineup. Every Sunday night from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll be traveling in the southbound lane with our brother Louis Ali, trying to get our people free. Directly following that show from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday nights, it'll be the Children of Southampton show, featuring the Queen Sister Nefertari of Children of Southampton. Monday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's the War on the Horizon show, featuring yours truly, the Irritated Genie of Soufeese. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the context of white supremacy, featuring Gus T Renegade and our little sister Justice. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's the King Samir show. Every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., tune in for the Drop Squad, featuring our sister Basani. And on Saturdays, we have a very special treat for you. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Round Table. The last Saturday of every month, all of your favorite guests get together and discuss the pertinent issues confronting black people worldwide. That's a show you don't want to miss. All you have to do is go to waronthehorizon.com and click our Listen Live 365 button. Or you can go to live365.com and look up War on the Horizon. Remember, brothers and sisters, at War on the Horizon Radio, we came here to save you, not to be your friend. We look forward to seeing you on the battlefield. War on the Horizon. You gotta love it. Euros, Homos, and Negroes. War on the Horizon Radio. I'm happy for you.
My wife, my child, go out. Never.
Brothers and sisters, in honor of Black History Month, the first African insurrection musical in history is coming to Washington, D.C. That's right. War on the Horizon, in conjunction with Kamasi Industries, is bringing them Memphis boys, Brothers Keepers, to Washington, D.C. to do their nationally acclaimed play, 1831 Turner Street, on the life and times of the prophet Nat Turner. 1831 Turner Street is a place set in the modern climate of Black America. An elder meets a young brother and sister who are headed in the wrong direction. He steps in and provides parental guidance by teaching them about the life and times of Nat Turner the prophet. Black family, you'll laugh, cry, sing, and dance throughout the entire production. This play is for the entire Black family. Adults and children alike have agreed that this is the single best production they've ever seen live. 1831 Turner Street will be in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, February 20th, 2011 at the brand new Art Theater. In order to make this event all that it should be, we need your financial support. We're trying to raise $10,000 by January 31st, 2011. Any amount you are able to give will be applauded. Donations in the following increments will be accompanied by a gift of appreciation. $50 to $99, Part 1 of the Feminization of the Black Male series, our most popular DVD lecture on the condition of the black male worldwide. $100 to $199, Entertainment, Fighting the Poltergeist, a 3-disc DVD set containing over 6 hours of shocking information on the influence of Western media. $200 and up, the War on the Horizon Collection Series, an 8-disc DVD set which contains the entire Feminization and White Sex series and more. To make your contribution, you can mail a check or money order to War on the Horizon, P.O. Box 54501, Washington, D.C. 20032-9101. You can call us toll-free at 877-927-0011 or 202-309-9106 to make a credit card donation by phone. You may also go to our website homepage, waronthehorizon.com/site, and click on the donate button at the bottom of the page to make a contribution via PayPal using your PayPal account, your credit card, or bank draft. For more information, you can look us up on Facebook under War on the Horizon. Black people, remember, at War on the Horizon, we didn't come here to be your friend. We came here to save you. And we look forward to seeing you on the battlefield. War on the Horizon, gotta love you.
It's been long for the color of my ears, back like that. dark as light and sound is to a blind deaf ear. Train to hate anyone that loves you enough to stand the truth you refute. Or is it that you love unto death? Freedom fighters feel that love like a knife to the chest. Mountains of that love in an Austin ballroom. King in front of a Memphis hotel room. Khalid and dinner and Fred in his own bedroom. How soon we forget role models, black walls facing Katrina, bundling the scorpions, now remembering the stingers that killed Mama and Papa. You can't tell me you didn't see what you saw. You are killing freedom, man. You are killing the fight. That if you're that passionate and kill your children tonight, like Oprah did in Beloved, or watch them be killed in front of you of the system, you love it. Yes, granted a few civil issues, but how much has really changed, I might add? If the past is the prelude to the present and the present dictates the future, then are you so religious that you would just lay down and let them shoot you? Suffering from historical amnesia that makes you mumble, inhumanity and undignified debate that equate to counsel like prostrate, killing our people from the inside or justified. Utopian disease to fix our race, our culture, and die. Spiritual genocide, flicks from the mouth of Satan and he lied. Blatant on an allegory, homes with the weight, stories of fables and winged ladies while murderers sell freedom for houses and Mercedes. The blood still drips from mouths and hands with the caliber of the carcass. Elated are the undertakers of its spitting, entranced by the scent of pine by sawdust. Freedom's death is a blush, and the death of his soldiers a plot. And if God is the only one that I can trust, then why doesn't he smite my enemies? The one that claim to be doing their job while I will fight for King Israel. Victory is mine while you're talking against us. Victory is mine while you're plotting against us. Victory is mine while you're smiling in our face. And your race you disgrace, and the children's future you erase. But you're too educated to know it. Talking about everything other than yourself and your actions show it. Screaming, don't wake me up. I don't want to know the truth. I don't want the solution. Manchurian candidates programmed to kill the revolution. When the cracker can no longer touch us, he will pay some Negro to do so. Therefore, beware of the Negro who calls to be the overseer, but the overseer will punishment oversee your death. Oftentimes, Negroes putting that power to rest. Isola Curtis, their king. Bankers busted, redirected the people's dreams. Ancient 800 snitched and lied on garbage. Two slaves snitched to the cracker on Denmark Phoebe. Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was set up by William O'Neill. He was working hard, but Nelson made the under-the-table deal. James Robert knew of Malcolm's pending death. Shelby was made to bring the movement back to arrest. Khalid Bahama was shot by James Best. Louis Tech instigated beef between the Panthers and U.S. Who's speaking at his best? Tempo Negroes, all up and through our race. A. Randolph refused to help Robert Williams during the Kinsey case. Black entertainers was modern-day blackface. Thomas Bell tried to kill the leader of the RNA. Dr. Perry fired on black troops in L.A. back in the day. Cancer party full of black rats. Julio Butler and Foreman on SWAT on crack. Somebody should have split his feet. For that, there's nothing less than treason. Who taking time Negroes sensitive for financial reasons? Or maybe it's nothing more than fear. When you die, I'll shed so many tears of joy. Will somebody please kill that Thomas Hagen boy? Why should we continue to allow these white brothers to roam about after everything is fine? Perpetuating our movement time after time after time. I know Winnie Mandela for them next time. I agree with Malcolm and Khalid and eye for an eye. I agree with my child. Snitches should be found dead in ditches. The cracker FBI agent and the so-called liberal cracker bitches. With my gun and my gun, my trigger finger itching like Mama Harriet. These three or die. Pain and warmth making us lives and our freedom fighters die. Standing in the way of liberation. Negro eugenics preaching seven of people crack for salvation. Kill yourself before we do. We just waiting to kill the crackers, but we got to kill the crackers. Negroes too.
My ancestors woke me up this morning. They said, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I said, what time is that? They said it's wartime, so welcome to the war front. How you doing, brothers and sisters? Glad you could make it out this evening. Want to let you know you picked the right place and the right time to be here.
We at War on the Horizon Radio. Brothers and sisters, we got a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to continue the dialogue that we started last week talking about agency. What is an agent? What is an agent? How do they operate? What is it that they're trying to do as it relates to African people? How do we deal with agents and how do we identify them? Right now we're in the process of raising funds, and we really need you brothers and sisters out there to dig deep and make contributions to the efforts that we're doing. We're in the process of bringing those brothers, you just heard those Memphis boys, Brothers Keeper, into town in February, on February 19th, which is a Saturday, February 19th. They're going to be doing a concert in conjunction with Coley Williams, a beautiful R&B singer out of the Washington, D.C. area, as well as a brother that just dropped his brand new album, Brother J. Pierre, a phenomenal young artist in the Washington, D.C. area. And, of course, those Memphis boys, the African Insurrection artists, Brothers Keeper as well. So you want to come on out to Washington, D.C. during that time. Also, the next day on February 20th, 2010, we're going to have the play, African Insurrection Musical, 1831 Turner Street. Brother Gus, do you hear that ringing of the telephone?
Yes, sir. My apologies. Hope that's going to get knocked out immediately. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No problem. I just...
Dang, I thought it was... okay, it's gone. You're good.
All right, no problem.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I heard it. I didn't know what was going on, but we know that you got it taking place. You got it under control, Brothers and sisters, we want you to come on out in February, same weekend of President's Day. So you should have that weekend on. It'll be an outstanding time, and we want you to contribute. Go to Horizon.com, go to our $1,000, our first $1,000, because we got 9 of them to go. We get that by the end of the week. Please get that great $420 so far. And what we ask, we just came out with another gift. If you any donations up to $100, between $50 and $100. Any donations over between $50 and $100, you get a complimentary effeminization of the Black Male Part 1. Any contribution between $100 and $200, you get lecture.
Genie, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You're going in and out a little bit. You want to try just quit your Skype and reload it to see if that clears it up, because you're going in and out a little bit.
All right, I'll do that, and we'll be right back after. It'll probably be about a minute and a half for me or so, about 30 seconds, something like that.
Okay.
All right.
I will pitch. Folks, please donate. The play is 1831 Turner Street. 1831 Turner Street. It's going down in Washington, D.C. It will be the weekend of February the 20th. As he just shared with us, they'll be having festivities going on February 19th and February 20th in Washington, D.C. They are looking to raise funds to bring in Brothers Keeper. They've been guests right here on the Context of White Supremacy. You've heard a lot of their African insurrection music on the War on the Horizon radio network. They've been guests on quite a few different radio programs here at Blog Talk Radio. They, I believe, have also been guests at War on the Horizon. They were a big part of the Children of Southampton and Sister Nefertari's Nat Turner Day weekend celebration. Should be a phenomenal effort. I don't know if folks got an opportunity to check out the African Insurrection musical that they did in conjunction with the Children of Southampton's weekend this past August, but it was phenomenal. They had a live stream. I was able to watch it on the internet. I would highly encourage folks, if you have the ability, if you're in the D.C. area, or if you got a few nickels and can travel, get out and support the effort. It should be fantastic. But even if you can't do that, please contribute. If you go to waronthehorizon.com Again, that is waronthehorizon.com. If you go there, you can look at events and you can get more information about what's going to be going down that weekend. Again, that's February 19th and 20th. You can also click the donate button, contribute. They would really appreciate it. Costs a lot of money. I haven't done anything that expansive, but I'm looking forward to be there. I believe Justice and myself are looking forward to being in D.C. to participate and sit front row and take everything in. So please contribute. Again, just go to waronthehorizon.com, click the donate button, and that would be a great assist to the Irritated Genie of Soufeese, as well as everyone at War on the Horizon who is working diligently to make this happen. I'm going to double check to see if Irritated Genie has his Skype reloaded. It's like not quite. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back on in a minute or so. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is not the cows. This is why it's not listed that way. Oh, okay, we got him back. I'm going to dial him up right now. This is not the context of white supremacy. This is War on the Horizon's broadcast with the Irritated Genie of Soufeese. I'm just hanging out, doing sound, and I might share a sentence or two as we roll. But thank you for participating in the broadcast. I'm going to get him down. I'll give out the number so you can call in. I have both phone lines open today. Okay. Sorry about that, gang. I lost my internet connection completely. I have not had that happen too often during the broadcast where the internet connection just dropped out all the way. I'm working to get everybody reconnected right now. Kind of crazy. Wow. Context of white supremacy for sure. Thank you for your patience. I will reconnect everybody. I thought I had everything hooked up and ready to roll, and all of a sudden I lost everything. But hopefully we got everything back and won't have that issue. Okay. See if we got Irritated Genie back with us and everybody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Talk for like 60 seconds.
All right. So now we're back on live, War on the Horizon, ready to do this discussion on agency and talk with our co-host today, Gus T Renegade.
Outstanding. You sound crystal clear. I told them I lost my internet connection there as well. When I was going to dial you back, I got disconnected from everything. So, context of white supremacy. There you go.
Yeah, well, they want to keep us away from the people, but that's all right. We got something for them. We got that good information there to get them moving in the right direction, so that's all right. And I want to say to the brothers and sisters online, we really want to thank you for staying online. We looked and we did not lose one person who's been listening online because of a few technical difficulties. So we've been 20 minutes now into the show. So let's just go ahead and get right on into the show, brother. But before we do, I do want to say that we had an outstanding program. We're going to get all of these programs up and running. We just want to make sure that we take out any of the little minor situations like we had just now with when we got disconnected. We want to remove those from the taping, but we're going to have them re-airing on waronthehorizon.com, War on the Horizon Radio. So you'll be able to hear them in conjunction. We're going to do some of the changing, some of the programs that you have there listed now. Recently, Gus and I did a debate. Black nationalism is the answer to our problems, or is it a waste of time? And it was an outstanding debate. He definitely, from our perspective here at War on the Horizon, he challenged us as black nationalists and those of us that consider ourselves African nationalists to lay down what our platform was, be able to say what it is that we're intending to do, what it is that we're part of, and what the goals and objectives of it are. And he made an incredible argument, and we enjoyed the forum. I don't know about you, Gus, but we thought it was outstanding.
I concur. I think more than anything, I say this all the time, the system of racism, white supremacy does not allow black males and females to be men and women. And I think a big part of that walk to being an adult, being a man, being a woman, is to be able to stand on your square, state your position, and even if, nobody else agrees with you, you do not waver, you do not bend, you state your position, you explain why. If that means ultimately having to admit that you were incorrect, so be it. And if you are correct, then that's even more reason to stand firm in what you believe and what you think is accurate and correct. And I think a big part of that is to be able to do that even with people that you have a lot of respect for. And if you don't agree, you definitely want to be able to stand in there and just be able to affirm what it is that you think is accurate. So I enjoyed it thoroughly. I look forward to having more exchanges of views where we don't agree, and I hope people who checked out that broadcast, I hope they found it of constructive value. I don't think there's any beef between Gus and Irritated Genie. I still plan on coming to D.C. and checking out the 1831 Turner Street, and looking forward to meeting everybody in person so you can disagree and not have beef. It is possible, black people.
That's right, and the good thing is you're going to see that every second Friday of every month from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we only going to pick topics that we don't agree upon. And if Brother Gus and I can't find, there's not too much we disagree on. If we can't, only thing we disagree on is I think he needs to move to the East Coast so we can have our brother out here with us. He wants to stay out there with them crackers and beat up on them out there in the West Coast. And that's the only thing we're going to disagree on. But when we can't find things we disagree on, we're going to actually find legitimate issues with his disagreement and have brothers and sisters that we bring to the table every second Friday on a Radio Free Dixie, and allow progressive Africans who are fighting racism and white supremacy to state their positions and disagreements with us, with other people, with positions, more importantly, that are being taken in the spirit of trying to come to the best conclusion as to how we can rid ourselves of racism and white supremacy and the white race on planet Earth as quickly and efficiently and effectively and permanently as possible, so that we can move on to the next challenge for African people. So we want to thank you for that piece there, and I think we got a clip that you're gonna play for our people, right, Gus?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to check. I believe some folks that you referenced as black nationalists, Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, Black Panther Party, they did start on the West Coast. Am I correct?
No comment.
Okay. Grooving. Before I get to the clip, I did want to share. I told Jeannie I had a treat I wanted to share with listeners and Jeannie, because I didn't read this to him before the program. I thought he would get a kick out of it, and listeners as well. I got my headset that I requested. Listeners have been very supportive. I'm super appreciative. And I didn't even know who got the headset. Like, I have my wish list at Amazon.com, and, people have just went there, seen stuff that's on my list, and they've got it for me. A person got the headset for me. I didn't know who it was. I mentioned it on yesterday's broadcast and said, if you would like, a shout out on the air, just send me a message and I'll be glad to do it. And they shot me a message after yesterday's broadcast with Paul, if I'll me grant his second visit to the program. This is what they said. Gentlemen, and I'm going to keep him anonymous because he said he wasn't really on the name, so I'm going to keep it anonymous. But he said, heard your show with Mr. Grant. Just to let you know that it was me who sent your headset via your Amazon wish list, and I'm glad that you have received it in working order. I am a black male victim of racism living in the UK. Longtime listener of your shows. The archives are valuable because of the time difference. It's not possible for me to listen to many live shows. A point I wanted to raise was Neely Fuller Jr. mentioned about only lending or giving money to other black people if it was for constructive use or something to similar effect. I donated money via PayPal to Sarah Sudan Seti sometime early last year, which I deeply regret. Did he take donations to admittedly buy drugs, therefore furthering black people's destruction, ? And then use that drug money to go to Kemet on Ashra Kwesi's tour. I'll leave that part. Mentioning my headset donation is not important. Donating to black degenerates like Sarah Subisetti, as was not to do, is more important. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the black male listener in the UK. Thank you for my headset. And I thought Irritated Genie would get a kick out of hearing someone reference Sarah Subisetti as a black degenerate.
I do, and you know, Brother Gus, in a very mature manner, is not with the name calling, but I'll be honest. If a label fits, I like to try to help people wear it. And in this particular situation, and could you do a favor and make sure that we're still on live? Because I see that it has a song on. Are we still on live on the One Horizon?
I will double check. It says we are broadcasting.
Okay.
Yeah, it says we're broadcasting. I'll give us a quick sound check just to make sure.
Okay.
Please continue. I'll give a quick sound check to make sure, though.
Okay, yeah, I did get it. I really appreciate that because that title fit, and I'm glad that people are letting us know that the work that we're doing. Yeah, I just got a message on Skype said we're doing good, brother. So we're still up live. They can still hear us.
Beautiful.
I think it's important that people do this because this is one of those times when it's not about bickering or arguing, but it goes right into our discussion that we're going to have today about agency. We're going to be talking about passive agency today, but nevertheless, we need to understand something. We talked last week about what agency is. We have to make a decision that we have to act when we see that individuals are working against the best interests of our community. And does that mean that we always have to go out here and fight with each other? No. We want to minimize that as much as possible. But when somebody comes with something that is clearly and definitively in the worst interest of African people, like Sarah Subisetti and this black degeneracy movement, it's for the benefit of little sisters like Little Sister Justice, who I wish was with us tonight, but that's okay. She's not because we know she's with us in spirit.
I think she is here. My fault. I got discombobulated. Justice, are you here?
Yes, I am.
There you go.
Oh, man, you see, my heart always gets warm when I know that my little sister's there, and it keeps me from being profane because I can't be profane. So she keeps me in line because I know that my little beautiful queen is there out there listening to what we're doing. So thank that brother for his comment. We really appreciate that. And for the rest of you brothers and sisters who have been getting into this war and doing whatever your contribution is to stop this black degeneracy movement that is being spearheaded by Sarah Subisetti, but quite frankly, it is not just about him as an individual. It's about it's about an entire movement to destroy our people, and it can best be described as agents. So before we get into this part of the discussion, Gus, I think you have a clip, and I want everybody to listen to it. I got to set this up. He has a clip of a white female who is dealing with a black male, and basically he's a postal worker, and it's been going around on YouTube and WorldStarHipHop.com and going around the internet. But I want you to listen to this clip as this white female is upset with this black postal worker. She signed for a letter, and now she wants to give him the letter back, but he says, I can't do that. It's against policy. But you're going to hear her be overtly racist. But what I want you really to listen to is in her anger. This is just an everyday cracker now, brothers. This is not no special cracker, no magic cracker, no sophisticated cracker, no special position. She is an ordinary, no good Peckerwood who begins to that black women are being enlisted by the white supremacists in the war against their own race. I want you to listen to it as she begins to spill the beans out of her anger, and as she goes from ranting and raving and calling the brother the N-word to beginning to try to spell out what she really thinks about black people and what the white supremacists are really talking about as it relates to what they're going to do to our people. You got that queued up, Brother Gus?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it.
Ma'am, I can't.
The police officer was right there in the front of my house. Give me the fucking thing. I don't want the letter.
Please don't do that, ma'am. Please don't do
I
that.
will. I don't want the letter. Give me the cards back.
Ma'am, please don't do
I
that.
said I don't want the letter. Give me the cards back.
Ma'am, you already signed for
Yes,
me.
he said I signed. I don't want it.
Ma'am, please
It's
don't
not
do that.
for me. This is not for me. This is not for me. It's the wrong name.
How can it be the wrong end?
Because this is not the Rotary Club. You're my husband. This is not for me. They addressed me to the wrong person. I don't want it. I don't want to legally open it, and I want it back. I don't
Okay.
sign for somebody else's mail.
Ma'am, can you just bring it back to the office?
No. Take it back because it's not mine.
Ma'am, no, I cannot give you
Now
this.
you want the signatures, you fucking nigger face. You want me to lock you up for life, you asshole? Give me my certificate back.
Ma'am,
And I'm not prejudiced, but right now I'm just real pissed off.
ma'am, why are you calling me names? I mean, I'm just delivering your mail.
Because you're acting like a nigger. Now give me the cards back.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to have to go, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Give me the cards back.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Why are you calling me the N name?
Because you're acting like a moron. Give me the cards back.
I can't, ma'am.
Call me a nigger. I don't care.
Oh,
Give me the cards back.
ma'am, I'm not going to call you names.
Could you give me the card back?
I can't, ma'am. I can't. You verified it, and you verified that was...
If I take it, I get signed for it. If I don't take it, I don't. And I'm going to give it back because I don't want it. There's no money involved here.
Ma'am, hey,
So give it back to me. I don't
ma'am, I
want it.
cannot do this, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm late for all the mails. I mean, for all the customers. I have to deliver their mail. You're holding me mail.
Don't kill it.
Why you would have killed me, ma'am?
I don't, but they will.
Who?
White people.
White
We're
people?
not doing what I need you to do right now. No, please. Just give me that back.
Ma'am, why you... Ma'am, why you slap me, ma'am? Why you slap me, ma'am? Ma'am, why you slapping me?
Why do you want to do this? You killed Martin Luther King. You niggas turn on each other. You stupid. You turn on me on your leaders. You dumb.
Ma'am,
You can also wonder.
why you slap me, ma'am?
I want my fucking things.
You didn't have to hurt me, ma'am.
You're being dumb. I'm not hurting you. You're hurting me. I'm standing out in the cold and the wet with my socks on trying to get my card back. I don't want the letter.
Why you slap me, ma'am? I mean,
You're not slapping. You don't make your wife slap you. Take the letter. I don't want the letter and I want my
I don't
card
believe
back.
you're doing this to me. I don't believe this. Why you call me a thief?
You won't give me the cards back.
I can't give you the cards back, ma'am.
You know what those people are doing?
Yes. What they doing? What they are doing, ma'am? I mean, I don't know them.
I educate you so fast so that you understand. The black women are against the black men because they've been exploited so much. They're with the Hitler of people. They're with the white people. They work against black men underneath it all. There are very few white women who have the strength to work for the black
Can you
man.
give me a chance to call my employer before you slap me again?
I cannot, and you're going to turn on me. And
I'm not going to turn on you, ma'am. I just delivered your mail and you slap me.
your IQs are lower, and so therefore the people who need to help you don't believe it. Because you've been kept from being educated in the North Street for so many years that the other people forged ahead, and it's true. You have to understand this. My mother taught at a black school, okay? I looked at all the IQ scores and she was lowest. She taught at a black
Ma'am,
school.
I don't want to hear that story. The thing is, I'm here and
That's the end of the sound clip.
Yes, and I want to give everybody the phone number, 760-569-7676. Again, that's 760-569-7676. And the participation code is 948656. 948656. So if you want to call and contribute, that's one of the lines that you can call in and contribute on. And if you don't have internet, you can listen to the entire show via your telephone by calling and dialing that number. You can also dial that number by Skype and listen to it as well. Want to talk about this because, of course, it's obvious this is a very racist white female. So that's there's no question about that reality.
She says she's not prejudiced.
Right. Well, that's what makes them white supremacists, because they're not honest, and that's what makes them whites, because they're very dishonest. She did say that. But I really want to point the attention to a different part, because people focus on her calling them the N-word. That's how whites really feel about us. What I find extremely interesting is she describes, first of all, she unintentionally, this is obviously not what would have happened if the brother would have given her the letter back and she wasn't speaking out of anger. She'd have probably taken the letter back and walked away. But out of anger and frustration, she begins to tell things that she knows or believes that she understands. And she said, they're going to kill you. He said, who? She said, the white people. Now, and another part of it, she said, I got a friend, he's a police officer. So essentially she's saying she understands what she's dealing with, that black males and black women too, the black race is a target, but particularly as a black male, this thing happened in Massachusetts, he's a target, and she knows by being white and being in white circles that whites intend to kill black people. She knows that. And out of her anger, she's now telling them, yeah, this is what we're going to do to you guys. But then she goes even further, which I think was very interesting, and she went to the point of actually making it clear that he doesn't understand, as a black man, that there's a war getting waged against black people. And that she's saying, I didn't slap you, your wife probably slapped you, because black women are not going to get along with black men because we recruited them. They're working for the whites now. Now, we have a lecture called Feminism, Lesbianism, the Making of a Black Widow. We constantly hear black men talking about how damaging feminism is. We constantly hear discussions about films like Precious and The Color Purple and this new one for colored girls and things of that nature, and how black women are being recruited for the white race. But very rarely do you get the benefit of hearing an ordinary white, not some sophisticated white intellectual who you could make the argument is saying this because it's out in the public. This is an everyday white female. If it trickled down to her level and she understands what whites are doing to hurt black people, it really shows how sophisticated a system of racism and white supremacy that this system is, because a lot of us out there think we got white friends. Well, why is it that none of them have come to us and told us what whites are intending to do to us? Since we see that they know it, because this is a good example of the fact that they know what is going on. How does this relate to our discussion about agency? Last week we talked about active agents. We talked about agent provocateurs, a snitch, a black degenerate. These are individuals who are fully aware of what they're doing and have no regard for the fact of the damage they're doing to our people. And they are extremely, extremely dangerous. They're race traitors by definition because they know exactly what they're doing. But today we're going to talk about passive agents. And that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about not just black women, but black men as well, the ways that we participate in doing the work against our race. We do the work for the whites, not necessarily even know that we're doing it. We call it passive, not because a person is not actively doing something, but because that's what they're actively doing, they don't know. They do not actively get up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to go work on behalf of the white race. But it's occurring nevertheless. And so we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about passive agency and that type of agency that a person is not necessarily conscious of the fact that they're destroying our race. Nevertheless, they are destroying the race. And they are assisting whites in destroying our people. And when we use the term agents, we got to start learning these things, these words, because there's a difference between an agent provocateur, who is somebody that's paid by whites to come and do harm to black people. They know they're getting paid to hurt our people. And a passive agent. So we're going to talk now a little bit about the passive agents. What kind of passive agents do we have in our community? Individuals who are undermining our race but don't even necessarily know that that's what they're doing. One of them, we have what we call severe haters. We're going to borrow some language from our youth. You know, the young people call it a hater, man. You know, a hater is somebody who has an issue with you because you're doing well or you're trying to do well, or just because they're jealous and envious. And one of the things that whites, through the system of racism and white supremacy and through the Atlantic slave trade, have trained black people to do They have magnified our, for lack of a better term, what you call tribalism and competitiveness, magnified it and planted severe, deeply rooted issues of jealousy and envy and groomed them to become part of the character of African people, such that in the absence of a physical white, they have trained our people to be so jealous and envious of one another that when there are no whites around to provide instructions, another black person will step in and begin to try to destroy a progressive black person simply because they are jealous of that person, because they don't want to see that person do well. I mean, not that the person is hurting anyone, not that the person has shown any lack of humility, not that the person is arrogant, just basically they look at the person, they are upset with the person's progress, and so they try to destroy the person. I'm saying this for all of the progressive black people out there, the counter-racists, the black nationalists, the black Muslims, everyone who identifies whites as the enemy to our people. We have to understand, we have individuals in our race who they are agents of white supremacy. They are agents of white interest, but they don't necessarily look at it that way. They simply have internalized the teachings of whites to be hate-filled and jealous and destructive towards anybody in the black community who is achieving any degree of attention or respect for work that they're doing. So like, as for myself as an African nationalist, Warner Horizon, you would be shocked out of your mind to know, I have to say that in jest because some of y'all out there listen to some of the ones that don't like Warner Horizon. But that's okay. You don't have to like Warner Horizon, but you got to love it. We fighting this battle. At any rate, not because of the fact that we have said something that they don't agree with, not because of the fact that they don't agree with our positions, not because of the fact that we're very violent and promote violence, which we do. I mean, to some degree, that's pretty much what this is about. It's a war. We got to deal with the white race. And so we promote and advocate doing it in any way that can be done. And until we find a better solution, it means that we're going to have to fight back. Well, those are not the reasons that some people dislike us. Some people dislike us because even though the way we view it, and I think Gus would agree with this, I would say we haven't done anything in the sense that this system still exists and is still functional. So I don't have anything to brag about as a black man until I've shown our women that we're men by defeating whites and removing the problems that they've been faced with for a couple thousand years now. So I don't see anything to say, hey, to gloat on and say, hey, I'm the greatest thing in the world. But it doesn't have to come out like that. If someone perceives that you are doing well and they are operating with this filthy and degenerate and destructive implanted European mindset that's inside of them of competitiveness, unhealthy competitiveness, and destruction, they will go out there and badmouth every single thing that you are doing. And we have people at Warner Horizon, we just try to ignore it. But we have people every single day of their life, they get up in the morning with the object of going out here and saying negative things about Warner Horizon, and with a full intention of disrupting the progress that we're trying to achieve. Not because they don't agree with it, but they are sick with the disease of envy and jealousy, and we wonder what they're jealous about because we're not winning. We love what we're doing. We're bringing a lot of beautiful people to the table that can help our race. We're trying our best to fight racism and white supremacy. Brothers like Chief Samir, when you got a brother like that on your side, you got a chance. Brother Louis Ali, down in Baton Rouge, driving in the southbound lane trying to get our people free. How can you argue with that? A brother with that professionalism and that insight like our brother that's with us today, co-hosting, Brother Gus T Renegade. How can you argue with that? Sister like Sister Nefertari of the Children of Southampton. We have any number of brothers and sisters, Brother Baruti and Sister Yabaruti. I mean, you're talking about these beautiful queens that we have when you look at Sister Nefertari and Sister Yabaruti who are right here in the trenches fighting every day and night. We know these are women. They prefer to be doing something else. But it's a war, and they've decided that they're going to stick with their men, so they're out here fighting. And all of us, I'm sure, I am certain, each of us would have a story that will boil down to the fact that there are individuals out here that are trying to destroy what we're trying to do. And they are working in the interest of white supremacy, but their only justification is that they are jealous for their perceived idea that we are being successful in coming together and getting the voice, being a voice for our people. And perhaps they feel that they're not doing it, or it doesn't mean not to be that. It's just the fact that they're operating with a sickness. And so I wanted to bring that to the table because that is an agent. It doesn't mean that they definitively know anybody white. It means that that type of behavior is what we call agency. They are an agent because they are a catalyst, an inspiration for destruction amongst our people that is no different in their impact than somebody getting paid by whites to come in here and disrupt what we're doing. So we want to bring that to your attention because even for the brothers and sisters listening, you do not want to be an agent. You do not want your behavior to be able to be classified as agency. You got to understand, brothers and sisters, if we're trying to achieve victory and go forward and do some of our racism and white supremacy, each of us may have something of value to bring to the table. And it doesn't make sense for anybody to have an ego in this movement because we all are losing. We should put our egos aside as best as possible, maintain a certain degree of character and dignity and confidence, but there's no room for ego because we're losing. So with that said, brothers and sisters, I really wanted to start with that kind of severe agency because I think it's important for us to understand as a passive agent. But now I want to get to passive agency. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to go back to that clip. We're not going to play it again, but I just wanted to play that clip to set it up for what we're going to be talking about with passive agency. We have another type of passive agent, and I know people are going to be offended by this, but I got to say it. It's necessary. The black Christian. And I am not insulting people individually based on your belief system. What I am doing is I am describing what kind of mentality a person has to operate with and does operate with when they come to the table with the enemy's religion. Now, some people will say, well, why do you pick on Christianity? Islam can do the same thing, and Judaism can as well. Well, that's true, but we live in America. America is where white supremacy is ruling. Arab supremacy is not ruling in America, nor is small hat supremacy. Well, small hat supremacy is, but not under the name of Judaism per se. Since, as a collective, the white race has used Christianity as the major tool to intellectually, spiritually, and physically enslave black people. It was the Christian church that brought us over here in chains. The theology of white supremacy is called Christianity. It's just a reality. And everything that the white slave masters taught us on the slave plantation about Christianity was contrary to what they taught themselves about Christianity, which is what lets you know that we are operating with a slave religion, because they taught whites that they had the right to kill and enslave and rape and harm black people, but they told black people that we did not have a right to do anything about whatever whites do to us. That is contradictory teaching. It's teaching black people one thing and whites something totally different. Well, for any group of people to allow a group of individuals who rape them, steal their families from them, murder them, force them not to learn how to read and write, burn their homes down, feed their children to alligators and sharks, to treat them in the most impossibly unimaginable way that we can think of, to completely destroy them as a people who have the intent to do that, and then to ask them what to believe about philosophy or the world or the creator that created the universe, is the most preposterous, ridiculous, asinine, and impossible to justify reality that you can possibly conjure up in your mind. Why would you want to believe the same thing that inspired someone to murder and kill you unjustly? It makes no sense. And what happens when a black person believes themselves to be what we call a Christian? They are implanted with a theology, a philosophy, a mental and intellectual construct that absolutely guarantees at some point in the process of liberation that they will self-destruct and begin to work in the interest of whites against you as a black person. Let me break it down into simple terms. I don't care if you're trying to start a black school and we say we need to educate our own children. And you got black Muslims, black Christians, and black everybody else in the community. Because they believe whites to be gods, because they believe that they have to turn the other cheek, because they believe that they have to love their enemy, because they believe that they have to obey their slave master, and because they believe that they will get their reward only in heaven, and that there is no reward for them here on earth, at some point, as you're having this all-black school, the first white that pops up and says, we should allow a white in here, you already have an enemy amongst you. The black Christian is mandated by their belief that they want to get to heaven, to get that good milk and honey, and lay at the feet of Jesus. Jesus! Lay at the feet of their white enslaver. They are mandated that they must invite the whites in. Now, for us as a group of people, a race of people, integration has been the key element in the destruction of black civilization. When did we get integrated? We got integrated during slavery. That was integration. Black people were over in Africa, whites were in Europe. Whites came and got together with black people and enslaved us. Integration. They integrated. What else did we get integrated? Jim Crow. People think that integration came after Jim Crow. No. Segregation was integration as well, because we were still in a white country where they lynched, murdered, and prevented us from achieving progress. And when we did achieve progress, they burned our communities there. So we were still living in their world under their dominant system here. It was still integration. So we've been living on a system of integration for hundreds of years now, and it has benefited us in no way, shape, or form. But that black Christian is mandated by God to allow God into the room anytime God wants in. So as sophisticated as that sounds, it plays out real simply. You're not going to be able to have an all-black school with Christians. They are going to abandon you in this fight. There's nothing you can do about it, because there's nothing you can do about it as an African nationalist. You want to say we got progressive Christians, you want to work with your Christian brothers and sisters, always know that when they say that they're Christian, that by the psychological mandate, they must abandon you at some point. And so the Christian is a built-in self-destruction mechanism for any black self-help organization or group or unit. Because that mentality that ultimately says that whites have rights to everything and we have no right to plan and plot against them and to do to them what they have done to us, at some point in your progress, your work towards progress, that individual is going to become your enemy. So if whites kill somebody in the black community and come in our community and take one of our daughters and rape her, and some brothers say, okay, we're not tolerating this, it's gone too far, we're going to go out and get this crack and deal with them, the black Christian is going to say, no, we got to turn the other cheek. The black Christian is mandated then when you go out there and don't listen to them and take that life, and the cracker comes in looking for who is guilty, they have to tell. Because they have to face God. They have to face God now, and they can't lie to God, and they can't allow injustice to happen, because you're supposed to love your enemy and not hate your enemy and destroy your enemy. My point being is that, and I'm talking about, and look, my grandmother was one of the best people I ever knew. I love my grandmother. And she's gone now, peace be upon her, and I know Bernice, Easter, Skeeter Delbridge, Skeeter Easter Delbridge is listening to me now. I love you, Grandma, but I have to include my own family as well if I'm going to have this dialogue. As much as I love her and as beautiful as a woman that she was, she did consider herself a Christian, and it showed at times. very proud, productive woman, never bow down to anyone and said, but it can only go so far when a person accepts Christianity. And so she would invite whites out to things. She did not have a problem when my cousin got married to a white female. I don't talk to her anymore. Got married to a white male. White male, white female, same thing. But my female cousin, my favorite cousin that I grew up, got married to a white female. I don't talk to her. Got married to a white male. He's so feminine, he might as well be a white female. But I don't talk to her anymore. I just don't talk to her. It's not a joke. It's not a negotiation. And when I do see her, when I go to the family's house, I'm not nice to her or cordial to her. When she tried to make it an issue, I look her right in the face and say, I don't like what you've done. It's a bad example, and I'm not going to get okay with it. I'm never going to like it. You can't bend me on this. Why? Because I'm not a black Christian. I don't have to accept my enemy in my home as my friend. I'm saying this, brothers and sisters, because I want you to understand. I'm not even just talking about black people who accept and call themselves Christians, because you have a lot of black people who say, oh, no, I'm not Christian, I just believe in the Creator. But they really are still Christians because they still have the same concepts. Let me give a definition for what a black Christian is so you can understand this type of passive agent. Black Christians are Africans, or I should say black people. Let me say they're not Africans. Black Christians are black people who possess a dangerous and pathological love for the white race and their culture, and or a hatred for black people and our culture. They are usually psychologically weighted down with either one or all of the diseases below. And so we're going to start talking about some diseases of the mind that impact the black Christian. But essentially, when I say black Christian, I'm not talking about somebody that says they accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, because a lot of people don't say that. But again, when you try to do something that's all black, no, we shouldn't do all black. When you talk about a black neighborhood, why would you want to be in an all-black neighborhood? If a person has to ask that, they are operating with a degree of self-hatred on some level because they're saying they don't want to be around their own people. Or they're saying they love white folks too much not to want some white folks around. So you're dealing with a person who has some pathology. Then you can have a black person who says, look, if black people weren't acting crazy, I would like to live in an all-black neighborhood, but I feel safer in a mixed neighborhood or a white neighborhood. That's a little different. That's just a person, particularly for a woman who's saying, I just want to be in a place that's a little safer. Not that whites are safer to be around, but let's face it, black communities can be very dangerous. I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about the person who philosophically, when you talk to them, even the idea of living in a black neighborhood, they don't want to live in a black neighborhood. They do not want to be surrounded by black people. No matter how good it is, it ain't good if it's all black. That is a black Christian, because the only place that we learn to hate our people like that is on the slave plantation from the slave master, and it was through that slavery system and its theological construct called Christianity that we were trained to think this way. So that black person who has severe contempt and hatred for their own brothers and sisters is a black Christian, whether they call themselves that or not. That black person who has severe love and acknowledgement and respect for whites, who always wants to be around whites, or you work at their job. They might not even go to church, but you work on a job, and every time a black person comes to them and says, look, I have an idea, I think it'll be great, they question you. A Peckerwood comes to the same place, Peckerwood has the same exact idea, and they sign it without even looking at it and give them all kind of awards, and you're like, what kind of coon am I dealing with? Shouldn't be name calling. I know how I slipped that in there, right? You shouldn't be name calling, so you don't call these Negroes coons. You call them Christians. They're Christians. That's what we've been taught in Christianity. Did I get away with that one, Gus?
Again, if I was with the Black Power cartel, that would be sound clipped. These N-words have the audacity to tell us we can't say the N-word, but they're going to call black people coons.
I was trying to tell black people not to call these Negroes coons, but okay, so I won't be telling y'all not to call these coons anymore, brothers and sisters. So, but in all seriousness, the black Christian is a very dangerous individual, and as a black progressive person, as a black nationalist, as a counter-racist, this is something we must begin to identify. When am I dealing with a person that has too much respect and adoration of whites. Not respect when they say whites have an all-powerful system. We're going to have to do a lot to destroy this system. They do have what appears to be an all-powerful system right now. We do have to destroy it. It's reasonable to be honest and acknowledge the fact that they have a system that is very powerful and effective. However, when you have a person that adores whites, has adoration and appreciation for them, it's a very dangerous thing because no one should appreciate their enemy. They should appreciate seeing their enemy destroyed. That is logical, it is reasonable, it's what makes sense, and it's what we should be doing. That is a dangerous person as it relates to you trying to work to destroy the racism and white supremacy. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you don't appreciate them. But as it relates to your decisions and your building infrastructure, never build an infrastructure with a black Christian. Listen again. Never build the core of your infrastructure with a black Christian. In other words, you're going into business and you want it to be a black business. Now, if it's just about money, you might can do it. But if it's about building something that's going to have value to black people, do not in the core have a black Christian if you can help it, because at some point they are going to be willing to surrender it to the white race. It's invariable. It's almost a perfect formula. It is predictable. It will happen. Don't do it. If you're going to build an institution, you want to build a nationalist institution, an organization that is going to be black-centered. I hate to say this because most of our brothers and sisters are Christians. But listen to what I'm saying. You may have a person that says they're a Christian, but they're not informed about history. But if they really don't like white folks and they really love black people, they really do genuinely love black people, you may be able to work with them. But when you see a person that has pure adoration for whites and hates their own people, they're a black Christian. You cannot bring that person into the infrastructure. Sure, they can help. Sure, they can contribute. Sure, you can help them get a job and you can help them, but they cannot be in the core because they don't have what is necessary at that stage in their life to do anything but destroy you. And if you bring them into your infrastructure before they have converted from Christianity into a black person, into someone who cares about their own race, you cannot blame them at this point. You're knowledgeable now. You cannot blame them for destroying and hurting what you're doing. You brought the agent in on your own. You knew that they were Christian. You knew that they adored whites or had adoration for whites. You knew that they had some disdain for their own people. And instead of allowing them to participate but not be in the inner circle, you brought them into a place they didn't belong. You set them up for failure. You did not put them in a winning position. You're not being a good leader. Utilize the assistance that they sent. Work with them, but do not bring an individual who fits the characteristics that I just talked about into your infrastructure. What we're going to do right now, brothers and sisters, we're going to come back and we're going to start talking about pathological Negro madness. When we come back from the break, pathological Negro madness. What is this and how does this make a person a passive agent in the destruction of black people and assisting racism and white supremacy? We're going to be right back after these short messages. Don't you go anywhere. Call a neighbor, call a friend. War on the horizon. You got to love it.
No refuge to save the hireling and the slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. And to this shit I'm supposed to pledge, swear, stand, and make my children behave, listening to the chastisement and warning of a slave, reminded that he will never be free or brave to those from the cave. But Babylon is falling down and its flocks are hot. If the white supremacy shown in the decisions of those in St. Louis against Dred Scott, stating that no slave has ever or could never be a citizen, and no law for them whites are bound to respect, doomed to servitude and politically incorrect and rude, reduced to guard dogs to use, to serve, and to
by free conference call AT&T.com. Please enter your access code Incorrect access code. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound.
In place by adoration and fright. You better run in the house before the
Incorrect access code. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound.
Death and destruction running through his veins, and black and cold is his heart. Cursed and damned by God.
Incorrect access
Held
code.
accountable for the world's sickness and domination, whether in whole or in part. Dark are the blue eyes of the cockadoid devils who can kill without remorse on so many levels. Babylon is falling down, falling down, falling down as Mitchell Baby sings about the stock market crash or the dollar burning to ash or the soaring prices of gas. Babylon screams, war, war. Heart Project and Skylar Technologies protecting the creation of catastrophes galore. Mentors of Hitler and Saddam. Blood-sucking zombies. Murder spell backwards, clarifying our vision today. Our spiritual and physical repatriation home is the only way. And God said, come out of her unless ye be judged. And Queen Mother Horse sat upon the throne and glanced upon all she had conquered as the mystery of Babylon lived on. Western civilization, unworthy of the name civilization, but civil, she is not. Draped in gold jewels of abomination and filthiness. Even God repents for his master creation. Solely out of control, creator of evil, white devil, Babylonian heart, thievery, murder, perverse normality, pedophilia, bestiality, canine eyes and mind, social, psychopathic, wreak havoc in order to survive, plagiarizer of my story, allegories of his story, Johnny come lately, Cockazoid, Neanderthal, and God complex, molester of humanity, Brockenheimer, never to be revealed, blood-stained lands over the planet Earth suffer from hemophilia, wounds that will never heal, passing immorality to all who will see and hear, propaganda once again, become as the Babylonians or die, says Queen Mother Whore and her loyal subjects, slave master of the world, whipping fair to the skin of all who dare to be free over immorality. Man lay with man, woman lay with woman, woman lay with beast, man lay with beast, woman lay with child, man lay with child. Even the Africans who once knew God have now gone wild. We have become Queen Mother Whore's love child. Raw dog eat, raw dog just as the Babylonians. Western Hemispherians identical to the Romans. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Therefore, when Ma'at comes to balance the universe, many of the Queen Mother Whore's love children must die too. America, let you be judged. America, maybe Babylon.
This is Gus. I'm just coming in. The free HD line, when I lost my internet connection, I got bumped, obviously, off the free HD line. I've been trying to reconnect it, but it's not going through for some reason. Either we can give me another commercial and I will try again, or you can dial in to my Blog Talk line. My number line is open. The number is 347-215-6071. That number again is 347-215-6071. And this will be a great experiment because I wanted to test if it will allow an open number of lines. So I'm curious to see if, just call in. Even if you don't, if you're listening, call in just to see, if it will allow for an excessive number of calls. So the number is 347-215-6071. If it's not allowing them, then we'll take a quick commercial before we go to the phone lines, and I will get the free HD line open so that more folks can call in. But the number again, 347-215-6071 if you want to call in. Take it away.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, Brother Gus. So now I'm hearing the echo. Okay, I don't hear it now. All right. Now what we're going to talk about, brothers, we're talking about pathological Negro madness. Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to War on the Horizon Radio. This is the War on the Horizon show with yours truly, the Irritated Genie of Soufeese. Want to say thank you to all of the War on the Horizon staff and team for all the great and hard work they've been doing. I'm nobody without these brothers and sisters. I'm just a guy out here with an opinion. But with them, we've become an institution and organization that's out here trying to fight for our people's freedom and independence. Quick announcement, then we're going to start talking about this pathological Negro madness. We're going to be December 4th. We're going to be doing a lecture, a brand new lecture entitled Black Male-Female Relationships in the 21st Century. It's going to be a very, very important discussion. We're going to be having it at Secrets of Nature, 3923 South Capitol Street, Southwest. It's going to be December 4th, Saturday, December the 4th, 2010, first Saturday in December, at Secrets of Nature, which is a health food store in Southwest Washington, D.C., 3923 South Capitol Street, starting at 1 p.m. So this is the first time we'll be doing this entire lecture live, and we'll be taping it, so come on out. It's free of charge, so you don't want to miss that. And then for the brothers and sisters who are in Indianapolis, December 11th, the very next weekend on that Saturday, starting at 3 p.m. So tell all your people in the Midwest, if you're anywhere in Ohio, Indiana, any of the neighboring states or cities, come on down to Indianapolis. We will be doing a lecture, A Feminization of the Black Male, at the Christmas Attic Center. And you can go to get more information on that. Go to warnthehorizon.com and go to our events section, and it will have all of the events that we have scheduled up there, where they'll be, what time, how much they'll cost. So we look forward to you supporting brothers and sisters and seeing you there. So don't forget, December 4th, Saturday, December 4th, Black Male-Female Relationships in the 21st Century. A beautiful discussion that is very timely and needed, and we think you'll get a lot out of it. And it is free, so don't pass up on that opportunity. Pathological Negro madness. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this definition. We're going to talk briefly about 4 types of pathological Negro madness and how this makes our people agents, and then we're going to go right to the phone lines. That sound like a winner for you, Gus?
Phone lines hot. You got 8 people that called in. I'm going to give the number out one more time, 347-215-6071. It looks like it's allowing XX numbers, so, dial in if you want to talk. That sounds like an excellent plan, sir.
All right. What is pathological Negro madness? It's a disease of the mind that affects Negroes in which they believe things are the way they want them to be because they want them to be that way, even though reality says that they are not that way. This sickness can result in, and we have 4 different diseases we talk about: mad integrationist Negro syndrome, negrophilia or Negro-masochism, scared to death Negro syndrome, and spiritual enslavement Negro syndrome. And again, the definition is a disease of the mind that makes black people literally live in a false world, to make their own world that they think the world should be like, and then live in this imaginary world while everything in the real world says that is not true. It's called pathological Negro madness, where the whites have brutalized us and beat us down so badly, and we are such a people who are interested in maintaining this idea of a universal purity and love of all people and things. We're so hell-bent on holding on to this mentality that we will not constructively look at our condition and say, white folks are a problem, we need to do something about it. We will not do that. So instead, we pretend like everything is okay, and we allow ourselves to continue to get brutalized and be in the very same or similar condition that we are in today. So let's first talk about mad integrationist Negro syndrome. And that's not mad like, oh, I'm upset. It's mad like, hey, not like, hey, mad, like crazy. We are ridiculous in trying to get next to white folks. What does mad integrationist Negro syndrome mean? M-I-N-S, means a disease of the black mind that compels black people to do everything in our power to integrate with the white race, our historical enemy, with the full expectation that our condition will get better. In other words, we know what whites have done to us. We're fully aware of the fact that they've been murdering us for thousands of years. Even we don't know that. We know they've been hanging us and enslaving us and firing us from jobs, but we want to marry a cracker though. We want to move into a cracker neighborhood. And even though I understand sometimes when people don't want to be in a dangerous black community, and I got to be honest, we have learned to feed on each other. If you look at it on a more in-depth level, it's kind of crazy. You'd rather move around whites who are systematically exterminating every living thing on this planet, including the animals and the fish. And I read one article, the Peckerwood said in 50 years, all the fish in the ocean will be gone. Now watching them create these natural catastrophes, they're getting rid of the fish because they don't want people to be able to feed themselves. And as long as you have sea life and water life, people can always feed themselves if they can get near banks of water. So they've taken that option away. Then they've taken all the seeds with this Monsanto madness. They're trying to starve the world. You're like, okay, you want to get closer to this cracker? Mad integrationist Negro syndrome. You should be trying to get rid of this cracker or get away from this cracker. And since this cracker got wings that he can fly and ain't nowhere to go that we know of that he can't get to, the only option left is to fight him. But not for a mad integrationist Negro. They want to get closer. What else do we have? Scared to death Negro syndrome. I mean, scared to death. What is that? The disease is the black mind that compels black people to resist fighting against the oppression of the white race at all costs, without regard to the fact that white aggression has not been known to depend on black resistance. In other words, whites kill black people whether you fight them back or not. It doesn't matter if you're a very strong person who's willing to fight them back or whether you're not a strong person that's not willing to fight them back. They're going to try to kill you. This is what they do. Whites do not measure whether or not they're going to try to kill you based on whether or not you'll fight them back or not. They just measure out how they're going to try to kill you based on whether or not you're going to fight them back or not. If you fight them back physically, then they'll create a disease and give you some blankets with smallpox. But whether you fight them back or not, they're going to try to kill you. So it only makes sense, since you cannot change their objective and their decision to want to kill you, that we should fight them back. It don't make sense not to, because you're not gaining anything. But scared to death Negro syndrome has a Negro who will know that the Klan is on the way to his house and sit down and start praying. You're like, dude, you can't pray your way out of this. These are Klansmen. Prayer don't help. I just believe it. Man, you crazy. Look, you got a gun. Stand up with your gun and try to, maybe if you shoot in the air, just shoot in the air. Maybe they'll get scared. No, I'm not going to do that. Or Negroes today, police brutality situations. Here you got a guy that is a vicious murderer running around the black community as a gang member, riding up in people's houses and murdering the whole family and shooting and robbing and stealing people. And then the police pull him over and he jump out with his hands up. I ain't doing nothing. Look, drop his gun. He will drop his gun that he just, matter of fact, he will try to take the gun that he just murdered a black family with and try to throw the gun off a bridge so that the two pig police officers that's coming after him won't find the gun that he just murdered a bunch of people with. I mean, scared to death of the cracker. You be like, well, dude, if you just murdered 4 or 5 black people with that gun, you know that gun is effective in killing people. If the police are coming after you and you think they're going to catch you, what is the most logical thing to do? Well, if you got scared to death of Negro syndrome, I'm going to throw it off the bridge so they don't catch you. And that's what I'm saying. Black people are irrationally scared to fight and resist white supremacy because whites have inflicted the kind of fear on us that becomes sick and pathological. Spiritual enslavement, Negro syndrome. SENS, S-E-N-S. What is spiritual enslavement, Negro syndrome? A disease of the black mind that compels black people to see our enemy, the white race, as our deity, God, or the Creator. So in the slave plantation of our mind, we expect and rely on the white race to fix the problems black people have, even though we know that whites are the very ones who created the problems in the first place. So right now, black men and women are having a difficult time getting along with one another. We really are having problems. Instinctively, we all know that we didn't have these problems before whites created these problems. We know that. It is the conditions that whites have created on this planet, starvation, enslavement, poverty. You got poverty, you don't have nothing, people begin to fight over stuff. Negative images they put out. We understand why we have this self-hatred. On some level, we understand that they contribute to it. Yet, we want to go and sit before white psychologists to see if they can help us figure out how to get along with each other better.
Or can I hop in? I don't want to interrupt your flow, but can I hop in and give you a 30-second media support to drive home what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay. This was very timely. Again, I've said this repeatedly. I don't believe in coincidence. Today on the Oprah Winfrey program, the 25th anniversary reunion of the cast of The Color Purple. You talk about black male and female conflict. This is just a sound clip promoting that broadcast.
It's been years. Finally, Oscar winner Whoopi Goldberg. We're clearing up those feud rumors. Did I do something to you? Then, for the first time in 25 years, The Color Purple reunion. Daddy, Mother. It was the beginning of all three of our careers. Legendary mastermind, Mr. Jones. And the end. Tiger Cat. Look at you guys. Together again.
My husband, Papa.
I thought that was timely because I think you got a lot of white sex offenders there. Quincy Jones, Whoopi Goldberg. I'm sorry?
Oprah Winfrey?
Yeah, quite a few. And I hope people caught that last line. They had in The Color Purple, Oprah Winfrey's husband, his character's name was Harpo. He said, "I'm the only husband you ever had." And they had a good giggle about that.
Right, which is phenomenal because here we see an orchestrated, organized effort to completely destroy black people that was financed. Might as well go ahead and do it since the brother brought that up. Let me go ahead. For you brothers and sisters out there that don't believe it, Oprah Winfrey is not, because you would say, well, no, how is this created by white folks? Let me just go ahead real quick and prove to you emphatically that Oprah Winfrey was created by whites, that she is an individual that we would call a Christian who has severe hatred for black men. And we don't blame her for the fact that she was sexually abused because that is what led to her hatred for black men. But we do blame her for now participating in the active destruction of her race of people. Let's go to our book, The American Directory of Certified Uncle Toms. It's an absolute must, brother, because you got to have this book. It's a whole part in here on Oprah Winfrey. Let's see what it says about Oprah Winfrey, who she is, and how she feels about her own race. It's on page 392. My race and gender have never been an issue for me. She says, race is not an issue with me. It has never been an issue with me. In school, when the other black kids were organizing a block vote for student council, I couldn't work with them because I thought their candidate wasn't the best qualified. I was ostracized then. They called me an Oreo cookie. So from a young time, she's a sexual abuse victim. She hates her people when all the other black people get together to try to get a black candidate to win because the candidate is black. She will fight against them. Now, this is back in school. And so the students absolutely hated her. They despised her because she was like any typical Uncle Tom that we know of that will fight against us. She goes on to say, she says, all her colleagues hated her. No, they resented me. I refused to conform to the militant thinking of the time. I hated college. Now I bristle when somebody comes up and says they went to Tennessee State with me. Everybody was angry for 4 years. It was an all-black college, and it was and it was in to be angry. So in other words, she's at an all-black school. Black people are mad about racism, white supremacy, and trying to fight it. And she hates being there with a bunch of black people like us who are angry about the condition that we're in and want to do something about it. And so she was an agent for white supremacy even before, now listen, this is even before the whites come and pay her to do stuff against us. She was an agent because she was the embodiment of the same ideas and concepts to be against black progress that you would get from someone who whites would pay to do that. Except she did it in and of herself because she was operating with spiritual enslavement, Negro syndrome, and mad integrationist Negro syndrome, where she thinks because a black male raped her and brutalized her, that blacks are monsters, and hence, since blacks are monsters, the whites must be the good ones. And she falls madly in love with the white race, and she hates her own race. Now, let me go prove this last part, and we're going to get back to our discussion, and we'll get into the phone line, because we need to understand these are real psychological issues and sicknesses that black people have, and we need to understand. That's why we're doing this discussion. When you identify an agent, it doesn't matter if they've been paid by whites or not. They are dangerous to us because they could be paid by whites. Now you know who whites look for. See, this is what whites look for, the same thing we need to start looking for. Who has adoration for whites? Who has hatred for black people? They are an easy target to be an agent because they have the necessary ingredients to be brought in and used, whether conscious or unconscious, to harm our people. Let's go to page 400, the American Directory of Certified Uncle Toms. The man behind the Manny. Nobody who saw Aunt Jemima's handkerchief head on an old box of pancake mix believed that she also ran the company. Nobody who sees Oprah Winfrey's daily Negro tripe fest should believe that she is the power behind her own wealth and fame. Lest some think that a billionaire mammy can exist in a vacuum, they should be made aware of her behind-the-scenes power broker, Jeffrey Jacobs. And that's right, you gotta know who this Jeffrey Jacobs guy is. For all of you out there that know who the small hats are, you gotta know Jeffrey Jacobs. You know, these small hats are everywhere, brothers and sisters. The white so-called Jews, you gotta watch him. He's slick and wily. He's the president of Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Studios. According to the New York Times, here go the New York Times, let's listen to it. Both the size of Harpo's business and Oprah Winfrey's approach to it were reflected in a committee set up in 1986 by Jeffrey Jacobs, Miss Winfrey's attorney, as well as chief operating officer at Harpo's Production and a minor investor in the company. The committee, which makes periodic investment recommendations, consists of two advisors from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, you know who that is. Two from the trust department of the Harris Bank, you got another one there, and one from the bond department of the Exchange National Bank. Anytime you hear bank, you know who you're dealing with. Hickleberg hat, watch out, he's behind me. And an accountant who is a tax partner at Price Waterhouse. Y'all know about that Price Waterhouse Coopers, man. We don't got to keep talking about this. So, let us understand what we're saying. We're talking about passive agency. We're talking about spiritual enslavement Negro syndrome. We're talking about mad integrationist Negro syndrome. We're talking about how the system of racism, white supremacy operates. Whites have created the circumstances where they create black people who have black skin, but hatred for their own people, as usually reflected by them calling themselves the N-word, but not always. But hatred for their own people and love for whites, or love for whites. Sometimes they hate whites, but they hate black people too. Or they love whites and they love black people too. Either one of them is a dangerous thing. When whites see this, they now have an individual who is already operating on their behalf but may not know what they're doing. Whites identify those individuals, and these are the individuals in our community that they go out to make active agents, offering them money, job opportunities, positions, or just the opportunity to be close to somebody white, the opportunity to marry white. This is how agency is created. This is why, for those that don't understand the importance of learning culture, it is imperative that we begin to institutionalize teaching our own people, because it is through the process of miseducation, abuse in the black community, and getting fed negative propaganda that a black person becomes crazy in love with the white race. Spiritual enslavement Negro syndrome. And even though we know that whites are the ones that create the problem, we believe that we have to go back to them for all of our problems. I'm going to give one last example, and it'll really crystallize it. You have a black man and a black woman who are not getting along. Good black mother, good black father, but they cannot get along. So they decide, you know what, we can't stay together, we break apart. And then, many instances, the man is paying the money, the man is doing all the right things, but then the black woman still says, no, I want to go to the court system. And so the man will say, well, wait a minute. I'm paying money to help take care of my child. I take them on the weekends. Anything they need, I provide. Why do you want to take me to the enemy? Sometimes she's doing it for a punitive measure. Again, a Christian hates black people, hates the black man, resentment. And sometimes she's doing it for spiritual. She really has spiritual enslavement Negro syndrome. There's a problem with her man, and God can fix it. Who is God? The white courthouse, the white male. Let me take him before the whites to show him that there's a power that's stronger than him and an authority he has to bow down to since he don't want to stay with me. Y'all, too many brothers out there now, I'm singing a song that they know all too well, and many of you sisters out there have brothers or uncles that you've seen, the good guys. I ain't talking about these Negroes out here, these degenerates that don't take care of their families. I mean, the good ones, and you go, this is real. It happened. And brothers do the same thing as well, thinking, you got brothers that won't date a woman unless she wants to go to church with him every weekend. Good sister, decent woman, not loose, take care of things, cook and clean, but she don't want to be indoctrinated with the white race religion. And he won't date the sister unless, I actually know a sister now that's saying, she's decided that, she wants her husband and she really likes the brother, but his demand is that she go to church with him every weekend. And I'm like, wow. He wants to make sure that she loves the white slave master. Even though if you ask him what has the white slave master and the white race done for black people, he could detail and say, well, they put us in slavery, they put us through lynchings, they fire us from jobs unfairly, they abuse us in every way imaginable, yet they're going to come save the day. Last one, we're going to go to some callers, negrophilia or negromasochism, a disease of the black mind that compels black people to love, delight in, and indulge in social, political, sexual, economic, entertainment, legal, intellectual, religious, spiritual, and health and physical related and other types of activity and misbehavior that has proven ineffective and is known to cause pain and suffering for black people. In other words, negrophilia is a disease where, good example, I hate to keep going back to this because y'all honestly believe that I'm picking on the brother, but I don't have a choice. I do have a choice, but I want to do it anyway, so I'm going to do it. I actually do have a choice, and the sister just made me aware that I used the word failed. I said unfair. I apologize. You got a war against me. I got a war against black degeneracy, and I think Gus T Renegade has started a universal undercover war against the irritated genie and the word fair. I'm going to beat this thing. I'm not like everybody else. I'm going to conquer this thing. They got me. But anyway, negrophilia. You got somebody, now we know what drugs do to the black community. There's pretty much nobody that don't know that. We know what drugs do. We know what they do. There's someone who not only use drugs, but come and advocate for black people to use drugs, that it's okay, even though they know the impact that this has on our people. That is negrophilia, negromasochism, where we know it's destructive. Whites, black males dating white females in modern times, have gotten brothers locked up for inordinate amount of time. Just for trying to date this dog. historically, it's gotten brothers lynched. Emmett Till got them brutalized and murdered. Yet Negroes still want to go out and date white females. Criminal behavior. Whites have created an environment where they want to lock innocent black men up who have committed no crime except existing under the system of racial and white supremacy. And you have brothers who have skills to make a living and can make a decent living, but want to run the risk of getting the fast money involved in a criminal behavior, even though, because he enjoys it, he enjoys doing something that he knows ultimately will end him up dead or in prison or having to kill somebody else. The Negro masochism is crazy. Black women will go out, look at a man that everybody knows all the women like this guy. You are 100% certain that he has no desire to slow down and be with you only. But you hate when a man is with another woman and with you at the same time. And you're looking at this guy, and he don't even tell you that he's going to settle down with you. You already know that when you get with him, he's going to be seeing other women that's going to drive you crazy. And you give yourself to him, and then get driven crazy and mad when he doesn't do what you want him to do, and he sees another woman, and you get upset. It's ridiculous. And then you'll pass over a really good black man, a decent man who's hardworking because he's not exciting. Even though all these exciting guys do is brutalize your heart. It is Negro masochism and Negrophilia. Whites have taken away the logic in the black person and given us so much pain and brutalization, we have become so accustomed to dealing with this pain that to some degree we have fallen in love with it. We sit there, you got brothers, this is the craziest one, and after this we're going to go right to the phone calls, because I know y'all saying, brother, Irritated Genie kind of talk too much. He's supposed to have some time for callers too, you know. We are listening, brother. I know y'all out there. So I got to say this one. And this is serious pathology on behalf of black males. You got brothers out there that have lost fathers, sons, cousins to violence, drugs, gang violence, and so forth and what have you. And it tears them apart. They cry at night because they lost their best friend or their brother. They really love this person as a friend. In the middle of his tears at night, he puts on a song, I'm a killer in, I'm going to go up and blow his brains out, killing for no reason at all. He's bobbing his head, smoking his weed, to a song that talks about somebody doing the very thing that is causing him the depression to be smoking the weed in the first place. If that's not it's not psychopathic, but it's pathological misbehavior. It's negrophilia, negromasochism at its highest level. The very things you know bring you the most pain. In the time that you're suffering and angered and hurt by what's happening, you're listening to it. Black women who've been sexually abused and raped, listen to a song talking about, soon as I get her, I'm going to tie her up, you know. Biggie Smalls, your daughter's tied up in a Brooklyn basement, face it, not guilty. And your sister has been raped and gang raped and was tied up. And you sitting there, daughter's tied up in a Brooklyn basement. Oh, I love my Biggie. What? Negro masochism. Let's go to the line, brother.
Phone number again is 347-215-6071. It looks like I'm able to take a lot of calls, so dial in if you want to chat. 347-215-6071. Dial in and get you online. You got to call in before the top of the hour. So if you think you want to listen, if it looks like it's going to go over, call in if you want to listen on your phone, or you can go to waronthehorizon.com for the radio program there, the live player, and you can pick it up and listen live there. If you're at Blog Talk Radio, you can click the link, and it should open the player up right on your browser. Just click the link where it says Listen Live at War on the Horizon. That will open the Live 365 player up, and you'll be able to listen live with outstanding audio quality. Person who called in, last four digits, 7662. Got you online, 7662.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Can you hear me, young man?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm calling, I'm a Pan-Africanist, and also I try to live my life as a decent, God-fearing Christian, and I was very hurt with the Irritated Genie making a broad, general statement about all people of African descent who are Christians. You know, the late Reverend Leon Sullivan, he was a person, he was a Pan-Africanist. He's really my patron saint. And also, he tried to live his life as a decent Christian. He made the connection between the two. Am I pathological? Well, no more than any other descendant of African slaves. We came here under unnatural circumstances, and anytime you live in a society and you're a person of African descent, which is white-dominated with white images, is also an unnatural situation. So if I have no more problems than I feel the rest of the race has, because I live in an unnatural situation. So, you know, I listen to your station. If I was that bad, I wouldn't do that. I don't think anybody else in my church listens to War on the Horizon. I just bought The Irritated Genie, his book. So, you know, you just can't make a broad statement against black Christians. And I'll hang up and listen for your response. Also, you're incorrect. Oprah Winfrey is not a Christian. She belongs to something called New Age. Thank you, young man.
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank my sister for calling up. And again, similar to the discussion that we had when on Friday when we talked to Gus T Renegade and myself, I think it's more constructive when we have this kind of dialogue, because I offended this sister, and that was not my objective, but I'm not going to not offend people. This is, you know, war on the horizon, and things that we say are going to offend our people. However, I have to say that I really appreciate her calling up, because she could just ignore it and say, hey, I'm not going to listen to this station anymore. She didn't do that. She said, I don't agree with what this man is saying. I'm going to call up and I'm going to state my disagreement. So we thank you for that, sister. Let me tell you why I say what I'm saying. I say what I'm saying about Christianity because it's true. Now, I want you to listen to what the sister said, because it's very important. She said, I don't think anybody at my church will live in the war on the horizon. That is a very important thing to understand, because she's probably correct. And the primary reason that they wouldn't listen to War on the Horizon is not because of anything else other than the fact that they are Christians, meaning the definition we gave of Christians, that love and adoration for whites, and that some kind of hatred or disdain for their own people. And that's why she's one of the few in the church that would do this, and you will find that in many different churches. And when I was given the definition of a Christian, if you listen to me carefully now, you can go back and play it back. I said, you have some people who don't love no white folks and who love black people, and they may be in the Christian church, and they may call themselves a Christian. But you can work with a person like that. I do not know the sister that just called, but I would venture to say she is one of those black people who is in Christianity because it's what she was given. Is it pathological that we accept a religion from our slave master? Yes. But when you don't fall deeply into those two pathologies, hating your own people and loving the whites, what you find is that you are ostracized to some degree from your own Christian church, because when the same sister like that tries to say we need to take down the white image of Jesus, or Jesus should be black, or let's talk about our story of Asar, Set, and Haru, our African story, or let's have some African culture classes, she gets resistance. And so you know what she does? Because she doesn't hate her own people, and because she doesn't love the white folks, even though she finds herself caught in this thing we call Christianity, she'll listen to a war on the horizon because she's invested in the love and the progress of her race. That doesn't change the fact that what she believes in, that thing that we call Christianity, is damaging. And the proof is in the pudding now, because the reality of it is that there's a war going on. The Christian in her is not supposed to be listening to this and has to be offended by what's being said. The African in her says, well, I'm a Pan-Africanist. And that is not in line with Christianity, but I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. Well, War on the Horizon is saying definitely is not in line with Christianity in any way, shape, or form, but she's still listening because there's a war going on. And what I'm saying is that what happens is, as we move forward to progress as a race of people, you're going to have to make a decision with these pathologies like Christianity. Which one can you do? Because ultimately you can't do them both at the same place and the same time. Lastly, I want to say, the sister said, and I'm telling you, I can feel her spirit, that she reminds me of my grandmother, you know. My grandmother was very proud to be black and didn't truly like white folks, but she was a Christian. I listened to the sister. She don't want Oprah Winfrey to be a Christian because she don't want to be in the same bucket with Oprah Winfrey. Now, we know that Oprah Winfrey says that she's part of something, this, that, the other, but she went to Reverend Wright's church, who is a church that promotes homosexuality, but is under the guise of black liberation theology, is the same place that the homosexual Barack Obama goes, and has been going for many years, and she went to a Christian church, and she hates black people and loves white folks. So by the definition that we give of what a Christian is, she is more of a Christian than the sister that just called. The sister that just called is a black woman who loves her people. And black people that love your race and don't like your enemy, the white race, are not truly Christians in the real sense, and that's why you don't have churches and congregations that push that platform forward. Let's take another call, brother. But I want to thank, once again, I want to really say thank you, sister, and I want other brothers and sisters, don't be afraid to call up and disagree, because we got to have these dialogues. One day I'm going to be wrong, and I'm going to need you to call me up and tell me, because I'm not going to know. I ain't wrong on this one, though.
Number again is 347-215-6071. If you want to call in, you got to call. You got 10 minutes. Make sure you call in before 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you call in before the top of the hour. 347-215-6071. Person who called in from a blocked number with a hand up. Got you.
Can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Greetings. Regards to the Oprah Winfrey show today, I watched it. Something that really jumped out to me as pretty odd. Now, my mother used to collect some of these black collectibles, you know, the Mammy cookie jar, the black male and female cook, things like that. She was collecting those things for a minute back in the day. Now, Whoopi Goldberg allowed the cameras in her home for the very first time, and she had some of those type of mementos in the kitchen, which didn't really catch me as off guard that much, because I know some of us like to remember where we came from and how they depicted us. That's why she said she had them. But it was really disturbing to me that over her bed was a piece of artwork, which is a giant picture of a mammy. The background is completely black. The only thing with more, contrasting colors on it is a bright red handkerchief, bright red lips, and gold earrings. And some of you may have seen that artwork if you've ever done a Google image search for mammy. That is the giant piece of artwork over Whoopi Goldberg's bed. That just struck me as why? Like, why would you want that over your bed?
I'm going to tell you something that I find very interesting that you say that. I watched Whoopi Goldberg when she was with Ted Danson. And if you remember, Ted Danson came out in blackface.
Mm-hmm.
On some kind, I don't know if it's an unconscious level or a conscious level. This is what I know. As a dark-skinned black woman, she was brutalized by black males her young life, similar to Oprah Winfrey, but was probably called ugly more time than she can believe and recount. And and I don't know this. I'm speculating because I know that this is the story for far too many dark-skinned black women being made to feel unattractive, developing a resentment and hatred towards black men, and then recognize that, again, somebody that whites recognize that and say, here's somebody with low self-esteem and hatred for their race. Let's take her and put her out here. She is an agent. She's an agent before she even gets there. But now she can be an active agent where we pay her to do buffoonery. So when she starts showing all this adoration for these images, on some type of level, she recognizes that's what she's doing. This is how she gets her millions of dollars. This is how she lives the lavish life that she lives. She goes out and she is a mammy. Now, whether she does it because she feels like by having her natural hair, she's not trying to be a mammy, or whether she realizes subconsciously that this is the system that she operates in doing the same thing that she has on her wall worshiping, I can't really say. I can say the fact that Ted Danson came out in blackface, and she was with Ted Danson, that she also has this love affair with these small hats, and that, like you're saying now, and I didn't know this, she has this adoration for the mammy character. On some subconscious level, at least, she recognizes that she is a practicing mammy, which is also what we would call an agent.
Brother Genie.
Yes, ma'am.
They went through and asked everybody from the cast what was their most memorable or favorite line from the movie. I don't think this was hers, but whoever spoke before her, and they talked about the part, I think it was the lady that played Suge Avery, where she points at her and says, "You sure is ugly." Whoopi Goldberg said people come up to her on the street and say that, and it catches her off guard, and she's like, "What are you talking?" And then she has to remember, oh, it's from the movie. But she also defended Roman Polanski on The View. You can find it on YouTube when they were talking about him getting that 13-year-old girl drunk and giving her drugs and raping her. Whoopi Goldberg spoke up in his defense on The View, and you can find it on YouTube. Another small hat.
Whoopi Goldberg is a perfect example of spiritual enslavement, Negro syndrome, and mad integrationist Negro syndrome. She is a black Christian by definition. She absolutely hates her race. My suspicion is that it comes from the brutal torment that black males gave her as youth, which is why we got to understand this cultural thing, got to understand what's going on. We cannot brutalize one another as youth and think we're going to grow into healthy adults that love and respect one another. When you brutalize that young lady at youth, when she grows up, she's going to pay you back. When you brutalize that young black male and mistreat him and destroy his self-confidence at that age, when he gets older, the whites have given him tools to fight back. And we need to understand that because that is the embodiment of Whoopi Goldberg. Negrophilia. Everything that is negative and has brought us pain from the mammy figure. She's in love with this mammy figure, and that's brought us pain. Negrophilia. She's a perfect example of pathological Negro madness. And as it relates to what we were talking about earlier, and see, this is how all this ties in. We played the clip of the white female arguing at the black postal worker. And this everyday white female said, see, we have enlisted, essentially, we've enlisted the black woman in the war against you. You guys don't stand a chance. Your own women are going to destroy you. And now you can really see it clearly because as we're having this dialogue, who keeps coming up? Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Precious, For Color Girls Only, The Color Purple. Now it is becoming, we're taking off the veil from the system of racism and white supremacy. Now we're opening up the matrix, and now it's becoming very clear. This is an organized effort to take the agents, many of them passive agents, meaning they just damaged people who have hatred for themselves and love for whites, which we call a Christian, and they take that Christianity and they spin it in whichever direction it can go. So if he hates black people a lot, but he's talented, they make him a rapper. So that pain he takes, he can talk about killing black people. If they love Pepperwoods a whole lot, then they take her and they make her a TV personality so that she can put blonde hair on and try to act white and bleach her skin to tell our women that they have no value and they should hate themselves. So they have a collective effort where one of the main tools they're using today to kill the race is the black woman. with her particular pathology. She's using all of us, but I'm saying this is something that is noteworthy and worth mentioning because we don't talk about it. The black woman has been made to become the major advocate on the forefront for the destruction of black manhood, and which ultimately is the destruction of the force that will slay the enemy and destroy them. And he's using the black woman against our race as an agent working on his behalf, whether he's paying her or not.
I just wanted to talk to you before I hit the next caller, and I'm going to give the number out again. You got 2 minutes. Call in if you want to listen or ask questions. The number is 347-215-6071. The number again, 347-215-6071. The film Made in America, we discussed that on the program where we talked about For Colored Girls, came out in 1993. Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson. The plot of the film, Whoopi Goldberg, she gets artificially inseminated with Ted Danson's sperm. That's how she has her child. You can watch that. Will Smith is also in that film. This is around the time when he came out with 6 Degrees of Separation. I won't even get into that. That's just one I would encourage you to watch if you want, what it takes to succeed. In fact, keep in mind the program we did on Saturday with Terrence Dean and what he said about homosexual behavior and entertainment, and then go watch 6 Degrees of Separation with Will Smith.
Let me say this real quick. Mm-hmm. 2 things for people. If you get us cut off in 2 minutes, then you can still listen to us at warnhorizon.com. Go into the site and hit listen live 365, and you can listen to us live as we continue to finish this program. I think we're going to go a little bit past the hour. I want to let everybody know, in line with Brother Gus T Renegade is saying, and our sister that just called, they are enlisting homosexuals, whether lesbians or male or female, black, white sex offenders, into this war, just as Gus did, as he highlighted in his interview this weekend, just like we saw 6 Degrees of Separation. We have what's called a social white sex offender. The difference, we talked last week about activated. The political white sex offender is somebody that goes out like Keith Boykin, who, incidentally, your guest mentioned that he loves Keith Boykin, who is one of the major proponents of promoting this sickness among our people. These are active agents. They know what they're doing. They intend to turn our people upside down, inside out. But as a passive agent, any homosexual that's practicing this misbehavior in our community is a passive agent because they are operating in a manner that is destructive to African people. And whites know that they can go to them, even if they don't know what they're doing, and all they have to do is put this individual before our people. They don't have to tell them what to do. If you're a man bending over to another man, or if you're a woman that's involved with another woman sexually, they don't have to tell you what to do. Your death child, by its very nature, is agent behavior because you can only come to your people with the wrong stuff because of what you were involved in. And so they have recruited a whole list and created agency by creating prisons that allow our sons to get raped, by promoting sexually licentious misbehavior on television, and then creating a form of music that advocates for sexual abuse and degeneracy in our community, and making it possible for these kinds of things to continue.
Again, make sure go to warnhorizon.com. You can listen live. There's a link in the description for this program. It'll open the live player up so you can continue to listen. A person who called in 1566. Did you have a question?
Can I be heard?
I can hear your radio. You turn your computer volume down.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Peace and blessings, Brother Gus and Brother Irritated Genie. I'm really enjoying the show. This is Brother Lewis Ali.
Southbound Lane.
That's right. Brother, early in the show, you mentioned logic. But the truth of the matter is that our people are acting very, very illogical. They're not acting with logic because there's no way possible that you could love your mortal enemy and be acting with logic. Our sister called in, sister who was a Christian, and as you know, I grew up in the Christian church down south, you know. But the reality is that we'll never, ever motivate our people if we don't teach them the three things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we have to teach. And that is the knowledge of God, self, and their enemy, or the devil, or Satan, which is no more than white supremacists, male and female, working together in unity. The thing about it is that if you looked at nature and you seen a worm, all worms teach that the bird is their enemy. And all birds teach that the cat is their enemy. And all cats teach that the dog is their enemy. And based on your knowledge of the enemy is how you get motivation. The problem is when you're dealing with non-white or black people, they have no enemy, so to speak. And so to mention, you know, Christianity, these people have no respect for our religion or our culture or anything. This is why they force their way on you. And as long as we're involved in their cultural expression, and their cultural expression takes precedent over what is naturally correct, then we're going to have problems. And the number one way we can solve our problem is by consistently teaching who the enemy is. That's like raid to roaches. So I just wanted to commend you on the show, brother, and we're enjoying it. Please keep it up. Peace, Brother Gus.
Now, don't hang up. Don't hang up, because I got to ask you two questions.
Yes, sir.
Well, first, I want to let the listening audience know this is your brother, Louis Ali, calling in with this modesty. This is an honor. This brother is the voice of Baton Rouge, the people's champion here. The only man on radio not afraid to say the F word, Farrakhan.
That's right.
And we want to let you know, brothers and sisters, that this brother will be starting his show from 5 to 7 Eastern Standard Time in the next couple of weeks every Sunday. And starting not this month, but next month, every third Friday, our brother Louis Ali, our champion from the South, will be having a show with Sister Queen Nefertari every third Friday of each month, starting in December. So he has one of the best shows on radio, and we want to thank him for calling. And I got to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
For my brothers and sisters out there that don't know this is my conscience here. This is the brother I go to make sure that I'm operating in bounds, because the Irritated Genie has been known to get out of bounds sometimes. My elder called up. Was I respectful to her? Was I appropriate with her?
Very respectful to our sister, and we should be. And I'm with Brother Gus, where Brother Gus talks often about, you see, you got to understand, a lot of our people, they don't want to face the truth. And the minute you give them a name that they deem as name-calling, that they use that as a justification to shut down and not listen to anything that you're saying. See, the reality is that every black man that you see out there killing another black man is operating under the influence of white supremacy. They teach our people to hate each other, and so when you're dealing with them, we understand what kind of mindset that we're dealing with. I was listening to the show last night. A warrior woman was on the show, and she was talking about the evil that has been done to the indigenous people of the planet. You know, we go to Mexico every year and on fact-finding missions and just looking around, but everywhere white and black people are, white people, or Satan, white men and women working in unity, oppress and destroy black people mentally, spiritually, psychologically, socially. And so, yeah, you were very good to the elder, kind to the elder, but what is important is that we teach the truth no matter who we're dealing with, young or old. Reality is the Christian church right now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the black Christian pastors were his number one enemy. I want to make this point. Every Sunday, they pick up over $3 billion in 100,000 black churches. Brother Genie, would you believe that they don't deposit any of that money into a black bank? Would you believe right now that in the construction industry, the only people who can really get a loan in this economy from banks are black churches and medical or pharmaceutical businesses, so to speak? They give the black church or black pastors loans because they're afraid that he might get some common sense and start his own bank and start giving out loans and helping his own community and people. But they got the black pastors in their hip pocket, and everyone knows it. Just keep telling the truth, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Look, when you get a brother like that on the line, you got to watch how long he stay on. He'll take over the show. It'll be the War on the Horizon show from Baton Rouge with Brother Louis Ali.
Peace and blessings, family.
Yes, sir. Peace, brother. Thank you for calling.
Let's see. Person who called in, last four digits, 2736. 2736.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, man. It's D from Reckless. I guess the first question is for Jeannie. I guess I'll describe myself as a Christian pluralist. I do not attend church. I think it's nonsense for most of the reasons that you outlined. I guess my question is, in my view, I guess religion kind of doesn't matter because I feel like the ultimate religion is the system of white supremacy. But I guess the question is, why is Islam an okay religion to practice if Christianity isn't? Since it was, even the Nation of Islam borrowed its theology from so-called Arabs. And I guess the second question is kind of unrelated, but it's based on Arabs. And I just wanted to get yours and Gus's view on so-called Arabs who are classified as white, but oftentimes I see treated as non-white people.
Brother, let me first thank you for what I would consider an absolutely positively outstanding question. And I'm going to say, first I want to say, and I'm not saying this just for it, I want people to do what this brother is doing and what that sister is doing. Don't just let me come up here and say stuff, or any of our hosts. We don't want people to be belligerent. We want people to challenge the things that they're hearing, because if we are wrong, we've got to correct them and get right so that we can move forward. And if we are correct, then we should be able to verbalize it so that our people can get on board and understand it. Now, let me break this thing down. And then forgive me, brother and sister, I got to take some time because he asked a loaded question. First, I'm going to answer your first question. I'll make it real simple. When I push the button and the whites are gone, this is coming from me. I'm not speaking on anybody else's behalf. The next button I'm pushing is the Arab button. So if that's the answer for how I feel about Arabs, I'm just being, I think I'm dead serious. I'm not being funny when I say this. It's going to sound funny, but when I go to Africa, I've been to West Africa and Eastern Africa. Not that we all the same people, but the different bloodlines, whatever. I really believe I'm an East African because I have a bitter disdain for Arabs. And even if we got rid of I'm going to be honest with you, if we got rid of all the white folks and everything was still cool, I don't think that I could allow Arabs to get away with what they've done historically with our people, even if everything was cool after it was over. I have this thing, I just don't like them. I can feel what they've done to our people historically. I read about it, and I just genuinely want to pay them back. I'm just going to put it right there. I don't like them, so that's the answer to that. Now, when you hear me, because I don't want anybody to be confused out there, when you hear me in the future, if I'm talking to an Arab or if I'm dealing with these situations and I'm not nasty with them, it is a political position. Right now, the whites are the most dangerous thing to our existence. I want to deal with them first. But, the Arab ain't but a hair scratch away after we've dealt with that problem in my book. Now, the race may change their mind on that one, but that's where I am with Arabs. Don't like them at all, period. Don't have nothing good to say about them. But they fighting good against these crackers right now, so I hold back on them right this second. Secondly, Islam. Here's the thing, and it is a very interesting reality, but let us understand. The system of racism and white supremacy is a system created by the Europeans. It's his theological system. It is the system that is primarily dominating the planet. Now, where the Arab is ruling over the African, he has a system called Islam. It's the same thing, the theological system for the Arab. However, the reason that the Arab created Islam was to fight white European Christianity during the time of the Romans. So he created a theology that worked for the purpose of fighting Christianity and whites. Even if he was a white Arab, he was fighting white Europeans and Christianity. So that in general, if you are in a place where Christianity and whites are the predominant rulers, Islam is an effective tool to fight them, not because it's good for black people, not because it helps black people, but because it was created for that very reason. That's the reason it was created. Now, if you're in a place like the Sudan, where Islam is the primary ruler over African lives, then Islam is the Christianity of that region. I mean, it ain't no different. It's not good. I'm not saying anything positive about Islam. What I'm saying is that the practical reality is that it's been used successfully to fight against whites and white supremacy. So that's why it works. Now, to make it even more in-depth, notice I don't talk about Muslims generally. I talk about the Nation of Islam. Because what I understand is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a genius beyond his time. When I go back to ancient Kemet, and I've been 6 times, so I'm not just talking out the side of my neck, I see the fundamental base of his theology. It is not Islam. There is nowhere in Islam, outside of the Nation of Islam, that you can go and find something saying the white man is the devil. You definitely can't go anywhere and find out where it says the black man is God and the black woman is a goddess. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere except in the theology of African people. They go as far back as ancient Kemet, but you can find it throughout different regions of the African continent. It is part of the theological construct of African people. As a result, Elijah Muhammad took the premise of ancient Kemet, what we built the pyramids of. We are gods and goddesses. He didn't come up with that. I'm not saying that he's not the first one to say it in that way, but I've seen it on the temples. So it predated him by thousands of years. He took that part about ourselves, which is the reverse of hating ourselves. He made us fall in love with ourselves. And the reverse of loving whites, which is Christianity, the reverse of that is hating whites. He said the white man's the devil. Well, if you want to argue it, you can, but you don't have to explain this. A person hates the devil. The devil is evil. He's a liar. He's a cheat. He's a degenerate. You want to not be with the devil because he's against God. You don't even have to do a lot of explanation. Well, again, our ancestors had things in Kemet and throughout the African continent. If you read the destruction of black civilization, where whites have historically been described as evil spirits, as devils. However, he took that and crystallized it by saying not they are devils, but they are the devil. In other words, the single evil thing on this planet that should be destroyed is the white race. He crystallized African theology, and since he was fighting Christianity, he used a religion that was a practical thing that existed during that time that had a base, Islam, and he merged Islam with African theology to fight white supremacy. Why do I not give it the same negative spin that I give Christianity? For one simple reason, because it has worked. In other words, if it was not working, then I'd be talking about it the same exact way. But again, I don't talk about Islam in general. Islam in general doesn't do anything but make black people pretty much maybe give some discipline, but your average Muslims, they're not Nation of Islam, can be just as much of a Negro as anybody else. Or at least non-productive. They may not be out here robbing and stealing from our people as much, but they're not actively fighting to destroy racial and white supremacy. The Nation of Islam has had a history as an organization of lifting the dead black man and dead black woman from a position of self-hatred and adoration for our enemy and reversing that and turning them to a black man and a black woman who have self-respect and dignity and bitterly hate, even if they don't use those words, bitterly hate the devil, and seek to destroy his system and replace it with something that you can look at and say has righteous characteristics when you see their behavior. That is why I constantly talk about the Nation of Islam, because it has worked. And the last thing I'm going to say, and this means as much as anything, the Nation of Islam, as far as I am aware, has produced as many or more killers for our race than any other institution I'm aware of in the history of this country, in terms of pure numbers. More crackers have died at the hands of black men and women who came through the system of the Nation of Islam than any other institution that I know. Hence, they get the title. Now, I would prefer it wasn't that way, so I could just blow Islam out the water and talk about it the same way I talk about Christianity, but I have to go with the record. It has been effective.
Reckless 2.0, they're here at Blog Talk Radio, and they have a program exclusively focused on racism, white supremacy. Again, it's Reckless 2.0. Thank you for calling in, supporting the program. My view would be I'm totally opposed to one religion, the religion of racism, white supremacy. And as I said on the broadcast on Friday, Arabs are listed on the census in this area of the world as white. That means a whole lot to me in terms of a war against white people. The fact that a considerable number of white people think that they're white or consider them to be on the white team, that's about all I need to know. I can look at behavior, but somebody just jingled. But yeah, I would say check that out. Anybody that thinks, I'm inaccurate or what have you, just investigate the census and see where their classification pops up. You don't see Arab is not listed as a race. They are a part of the white club. So there you go. Person who called in, last four digits, 6325. 6325. Did you have a question?
Yes. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Bond Trader and Brother Genie. I'm always digging hearing you. I hope my sister called you the other day. This is a brother out in California, in the music biz. All I could say is I commend you and thank you so much for bringing light to what a lot of us need. There's so many different points that, I'll try to keep it as concise as possible. You were touching on the religion aspect, and one of the things, because I'm, heavily involved in finance as well as the entertainment industry, and I mean heavily, what it is when you were talking about, of course, it's inextricably linked to the feminization as well as the complete degeneracy when you were bringing up, Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg, and I see it when I'm on tour, how deeply ingrained religion, and a lot of it is, a lot of our folk, because we need this sense of validation. We're looking for some kind of, 5 centuries of being, completely demoralized. We look for it, so we're beholden to this, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or whatever, without even knowing what the core of it is. We don't even, a lot of us don't even know the basis or the origin. We just, use our feelings and use what, so we're beholden to this thing, even if it'll kill us, like trying to hold on to the, to the Titanic, even if it's going down. Now, I deal with other nations and other countries that are actually finding their way of conquering racism, white supremacy. It's not conquered, but they're finding their way, i.e. China, Malaysia, Indonesia, you name it. And these are folks that are getting like 3,000% a month on their returns, and they're finding a way of, how can we conquer it and try to fight, what they had done. Well, they have what I call an objective mentality. They have religions, they have certain things, but they know the core and the basis of who they are, or the asili of who they are. For those of us who understand Marimba Ani, with black folk, on the other hand, is we're so far away from it. I mean, we're like light years that, from what I'm seeing at this vantage point, not only just economically, but also socially, spiritually, politically, you name it, every other Lee. It's literally our undoing of this holding on, and that's causing, and this is when I say this inextricably linked to this degeneracy, to this feminization. White supremacy needs us to be so far of our core of who we are, to beholden to their religions, to their ideologies, by seeking this validation that we'll do anything they want. We'll promote the Will Smiths. We'll do, I've seen it on tour when I was on R. Kelly's tour. I mean, that was just like beyond. There was complete degeneracy. That we're so beholden to it, to where seeking that validation, that to try to conquer or even get close to conquering race and white supremacy is like trying. I mean, it's I won't say it's impossible, but it's pretty much next to possible. It's kind of hard, like I say, to try to summarize it, but it's just something that I've seen, and dealing with folks that have net worths of some small countries, that it's one of those things over and over. And on another note, I just wanted to say, to add to your definitions, I call it CHINS, conscious hypocritical Negro syndrome, and that's these nationalists that like to sell drugs to try to get to Kemet and things like that. But I just wanted, like I said, it's hard to like explain in a very short matter of time, but it's something that I think that that kind of ties the degeneracy, the religion, and a lot of other things. It take me a month to actually really explain it to you, but it's just something to think about. But anyways, thank you guys so much.
We'd like to thank you for the call, and that's a brother there that's been supporting the work that we've been doing for quite some time, and he's doing a lot of his own work as well. So thank you for the call. I will say, and I probably misunderstood what he was saying, and I know that's not what he was meant to say, but I do want to say this. We are going to destroy this system. It does look impossible, but one thing I've always learned is that when you put your mind to something, the minute you dedicate yourself to something and make the determination that you absolutely are going to do it, you stand a good chance of being able to do it, no matter how ridiculous it seems. And we, as a race of people, in my estimation, I do not know historically when we've made the collective agreement, even if it's a small group of us, that our object was to eliminate the whites. Many of the other things we've tried to do, we've had success, but the problem is that they keep coming back. And so now I think that with an emerging new philosophy, a new goal, a new end objective in mind, that when we fill our people mentally with this ultimate ending goal and drive and dream of a world without our enemies, it will become the embodiment of ideas and principles that will give life in the minds of our children, that hopefully in a generation, I hope it happens tomorrow, but in a generation or 2 generations or 3 generations, we will either see this as the end result that we've achieved, or we will be well on our way into achieving it. And if we aren't in our way into achieving it, we will be exterminated. So I firmly believe, if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't say it, I firmly believe we're going to win, but the way we're going to win is to be extremists and deal with the problem once and for all.
I'm going to hit the next caller. I just wanted to toss in really quickly, because someone sent me a message today. They recommended that I have the person who put Ma'afa 21, that documentary film together on abortion and how that is directly linked to eugenics and the extermination of black people, genocide against black people. Mark Crutcher, that is the white person's name, who he is the single person who is most responsible for that documentary film. He was on the C.O.W.S a year ago. We've been on the air almost 2 years, and I know a lot of folks that are listening now weren't listening, way back when we started, but he was on the program. He behaved like your typical white person, which is why I wanted him on the program. And I don't think most people that have seen that documentary film know that white people are most responsible for that work, which is real important. You got to kind of keep that in mind. There's a lot of great information in the documentary, but white people put it together. So, you got to be real critical in analyzing that information. But he was on the C.O.W.S in December, in addition to behaving like your typical racist. One important thing that he shared, in addition to a lot of the great information, One important thing he shared was he said that white people have done studies where if you give two groups of people a problem, exact same problem, you go in and tell one group, this problem can be solved, here's your group, this is the problem, get to it. That group will work to find a solution. They will work, you don't need to tell them anything else, they will get to it and they will work until they get a solution. Go to the other group, you give them the same problem, but you tell them this problem cannot be solved, and leave. It is startling, the difference between those two groups. When you go in and you tell that group this problem cannot be solved, it has an extraordinarily devastating impact on their ability, their motivation, their will to solve the problem. I felt that was probably one of the most important, profound bits of information that's been shared on this program. When people say racism cannot be solved, this is going to be here forever, that's just like throwing in the towel. I might as well go do the Whoopi Goldberg thing and, get me 5 or 6 white guys and get involved in homosexual activity and, just try and get by as best I can. Go sell drugs to black people, whatever. Just throw in the towel. Nothing you can do about this. I do not believe that. That should be totally combated at every step. This problem can be solved. White people would not be messing over Robert F. Williams and trying to erase him from the history books. Would not regard the Black Panther Party as the number one threat in the country. They would not be spying on War on the Horizon, paying attention to what they do, causing disruptions in our radio programs. White people wouldn't be doing all that if they were really invincible. They know this can be corrected and quickly, in my opinion. So I'm very much about cultivating impatience among black people to solve this problem immediately. If we solve it in 2 years, the attitude should be, man, we were slouching. We should have got rid of this in 6 months. That's the way I want black people to think so we can get on the ball. This has been here too long. Another week is too much. So, Mark Crusher was already here. I would highly encourage folks. It was December of 2009, Ma'afa 21. You can go and check out the program. That jewel is in there, and he was a typical white racist. Check out the program, December 2009.
Let me say this. I know you're about to go to the call, but I got to say this. For brothers and sisters out there who are wondering, Gus T Renegade is not what we call a black nationalist. What is this affinity that War on the Horizon has for this particular brother? I'm going to be quite honest. What I like about this brother more than most people I've met, and I've never met him in person to person, he is a brother after my own heart. He's not tossing and turning on it. The problem of the world is the white race, and he wants it resolved. And I care more about your feelings than he do, and I don't care about your feelings. One thing that I love about Gus T Renegade, he states the correct answer over and over again, and he does not tiptoe around it, and that's why we're going to do everything we can do to keep this brother as intimately involved in the War on the Horizon effort to eradicate the world of this problem as possible. And I just got to say, because he stepped it up a notch, let me give the real answer from my perspective, because I have stepped on that. I got to keep it real. I know that it can happen because, like, people ask me to do prayers when we go out for dinner and stuff like that. I don't never do it because I ain't got no prayers and ain't got no dead crackers in them. I don't talk to God and the Creator without no dead crackers. I don't understand that. I don't even live for nothing else. That's why I get up in the morning, because I want to find the solution. I wouldn't feel this way, wouldn't have felt this way all my life if it wasn't a reason. The reason is because we're supposed to be feeling this way and getting this done. And I know that if we could build pyramids with no construct in place and nothing to say that something like that can be built, and we can figure it out, that we can figure out how to deal with a couple of 100 million goddamn dirty, low-down, no-good, degenerate, lying-stealing, cheating faggots and pedophile peckerwoods out of the cave and hills of Europe. I know it can be done. One thing I know for certain, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've never met a disruptive, mean-spirited, racist, dead cracker. They were the only crackers that I've never seen a problem out of. So I say that the answer is obvious, it's on the table, and it can be done. Thank you, Brother Gus, for keep me honest.
For sure. This is Mr. Nero, consistent supporter. Mr. Nero, do you have a question, comment?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay. We have hit all the calls. I did want to check because Justice is still with us. Justice, did you want to make any comments or share anything? Do you have any questions based on what you heard?
No. Not at this time.
Okay. You want to give out your email address?
Sure. justice.asap@yahoo.com. Again, justice.asap@yahoo.com.
Great. I wanted to share this with folks. This was one thing that I saw that made me very happy today. I don't know how much credit War on the Horizon and the cows, I don't know how much credit we can take for this, but I feel like things are moving in the correct direction. Somebody put this on my Facebook page this morning. It says, the title of the article is, "What in the Hell Happened with For Colored Girls?" ? And it says, Megamind was number one, again with 26 million, and Unstoppable was number two with 24 million. But the more interesting figure is the 6.8 million that For Colored Girls made this weekend. Now, of course, all films fall off the following weeks of their release. A drop-off of 30% or less in the second week of release is considered very good. Between 40 and 50%, they use the F word that we don't use on this program, so I'll say between 40 and 50% is reasonable, and anything over 50% is considered bad news. So it's not great news for Tyler Perry and Lionsgate that For Colored Girls' second weekend numbers dropped by a whopping 65% from the previous week. That's the biggest drop for any of his films, and quite surprising. That means that the word of mouth for the film is dreadful. But why? Here are some of the theories. That it got bad reviews. Are you kidding? When have bad reviews ever kept people from seeing a Tyler Perry movie? Good point. In fact, even though For Colored Girls did get some bad reviews, it also garnered some of the best reviews for any Tyler Perry film, so that doesn't hold. Too depressing. True, it's definitely not a feel-good movie, and then neither was Precious, even more so, and that did extremely well at the box office. Bad marketing, too wide a release. Taking a tip from Precious, perhaps For Colored Girls should have been rolled out slowly, city by city, theater by theater, to get the word out that this wasn't your typical Tyler Perry movie, to get people used to the idea instead of the wide theatrical release that it got. Next is no Oprah push. I don't agree with that, but until a different person pointed this out to me this weekend, I didn't realize that Oprah did not devote an entire show to the film. I simply assumed that she had. Why didn't she? ? Instead, she devoted 2 complete shows with Perry and the trauma of male child molestation. What does that have to do with the movie? ? Maybe she really doesn't like the film, though at one time she was supposed to play Felicia Rashad's part in the movie. Final is, it wasn't what people expected. Perhaps the most likely answer is that people went in expecting to see another Tyler Perry movie and instead got something a whole lot more strange and difficult to grasp. And keeping in mind that Ntozake Shange's work is now 35 years old and that there are many people not familiar with it. The jarring transitions from dialogue to poetry were too weird, and the relentless grimness was too much and made them uncomfortable. However, the worst thing is that the box office disappointment for Colored Girls will inevitably mean one thing for sure: more Medea. That's the article, What in the Hell Happened For Colored Girls? I'm ecstatic to hear that this is doing terrible at the box office, and I hope we had some part in that failure. Maybe black people are getting our act together, and maybe all of his films will fall off. Maybe even if he decides to wear female clothes again, we'll just be tired with all that and, back to the business of getting rid of white people.
let me say this, and I don't know. I'm going to just go ahead and say the work of Gus T Renegade, King Samir, Sister Nefertari, Brother Louis Ali, Warren Horizon, the Barudis, the work of all the Cambones, all of the brothers and sisters out there that I didn't name just now, the Brother Hakeem Ameed. I think that, one, I'm going to say, our collective push to push against this effeminization of the black male, that is one thing. And perhaps when Oprah had Tyler Perry on and he admitted to his sexual abuse, perhaps the things that we have been saying for a decade now are beginning to register so clearly to people, even if they've only heard it as word of mouth, that the reason that this behavior is occurring is because of sexual abuse. Is beginning to turn people off to the end result, because now they're beginning to see the result and they're linking it in their mind to sexual abuse, and they don't want to see that. So that they don't understand why a man puts on a dress is funny, but once they understand from the man's mouth that he was sexually abused, and then they see him in a woman's dress, their mind automatically computes the two as something to do with each other. Anything that the mind computes has something to do with sexual abuse, a person wants no part of. I could be wrong, but I think that even if I'm wrong, we should start using that, because now that he's put that out there, we can tell people, look at what happens when a child is sexually abused. Look what it can lead them to. If you don't agree with sexual abuse, then you can't agree with this stuff that's happening, because this is what led to it. Let us do something about the sexual abuse. Let us do something about this homosexuality and the feminization of black males and this misbehavior in our community. I think that it may be something that we have to start utilizing and start pushing, so that we can show and demonstrate those things that we're saying to make the links for people. Because it appears, this is a hypothesis, it appears that when people make the link between the resulting behavior and sexual abuse, they no longer like that resulting behavior. I think this is possible.
I agree. I want to step it up and just remind folks, whenever they bring up Medea, just make sure you can reference Oprah. You don't even have to hit them over the head with anything crazy. You can reference something that even white people are tolerant of. The Oprah Winfrey Show. Did you see when he was on Oprah and he talked about how he was molested? Same thing, Ntozake Shange. Same thing for Monique with Precious. Did you see when her brother was on Oprah and he talked about how he molested her? And you can just let the conversation roll from there. I think excellent suggestion, sir.
Yes, and just to say for people to really time together, you just had a dude hiding in hip hop. He talked about, now he's a homosexual or a white sex offender in the hip hop industry. And what did he say? He specifically said what led him to being attracted to boys, because he used to be attracted to girls. His sexual abuse at the hands of a homophile, white sex offending black male, so-called homosexual pedophile. And now he's involved in a life of sexual backwardness. And he admits that that's what led to it.
Unless I'm incorrect, I think he even said that that and being in the house where his mom was raped also, incredible sexual abuse, sexual trauma, that all of that led him to a long period of deviant behavior, both sexual deviance, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and attempted suicide, which is also the case for Tyler Perry. So he even talked about Tyler Perry and saying, yeah, the same thing looks like it could be true for him and what he has produced with his film. So, yeah, you get to hear it straight from, I don't want to say the horse's mouth, but you get to hear it straight from the white sex offender's mouth. And this might be coming up again on Thursday. The Mean Girls of Morehouse, that article that was in Vibe, those black males should be on the context of white supremacy and simulcast at War on the Horizon this Thursday. That'll be Thursday, November the 18th, I believe. They should be on that evening. I'll get the date and everything firm, but it should be Thursday, November 18th. The black males from that article, they should be on, and I will make certain to ask if there's any history of child molestation or anything like that in their experience.
Yes, that'll be fantastic. Who you having on tomorrow night, 7 to 9, brother?
I am going solo. People were upset. Some, not all, but some were upset about perceived bashing of Martin Luther King Jr. When we discussed Robert F. Williams and Negroes with Guns. And so I have collected quite a bit of evidence. I got the newspaper article from the Washington Post. It's on my blog. I want to read that. I got quite a few sources from black people who were contemporaries of Martin Luther King and at the march who shared their feelings. And they pretty much said and felt exactly how the Irritated Genie felt about the March on Washington and Martin Luther King Jr. to a large degree. But this is from 1963. So I want to dig through some of those sources. That article, the March on Washington, castrated giant, white people, excellent technology. They made a PDF of the whole article, so I have it. I'm going to upload it, read portions of it, play some Malcolm X speeches to really kind of combat the distortion and fabrication that white people have spent on what happened at the March on Washington. So that'll be tomorrow's discussion, and I highly encourage anyone who, feels like this is unreasonable and that we're bashing Martin Luther King Jr., call in, present your view. Should be a great time. I'm looking forward to dialogue and sharing.
What's the title of the show going to be?
March on Washington. March on Washington in retrospect.
In retrospect. All right, brothers and sisters. Y'all hear Brother Gus, he got these fantastic shows lined up, and he keeps it a secret right to the last minute so he can make sure he's knocking it out the box. So he wants to remain the premier War on the Horizon show host. But let me tell you, we got a lot of competition. We got some great people here, brother. So I'm going to be listening to that tomorrow for sure.
And I look forward to it. And hopefully if people find it constructive, like I said, call in if you feel like we are being unreasonable and beating up on Martin Luther King, who was also a victim. And I recognize what he did, but I think it's very important to point out how white people have really done a great job at manipulating the history of the March on Washington and what that represents. If anything, it represents the triumph of racist man and racist woman in totally subverting black people who were getting a little bit who were very impatient about white people being racist, and their original intention was to come to D.C. to be much more rowdy than what the march turned out to be. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, call in. Should be, I hope, will be a very constructive program.
All right, so that's 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time. It'll be put up, if you go to warnhorizon.com, you can go to the radio tab, and it'll tell you the lineup, and you'll always know what the live shows are, and you'll also know what the pre-recorded shows will be. So constantly check there to see if there's a show about something that you want to check out. On Wednesday night, the chairman of the new Black Panther Party, Malik Zulu Shabazz, will be on air with our brother King Samir, the warrior out of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia head of the new Black Panther Party. You do not want to miss that. Tomorrow night with brother Gus T Renegade, the March on Washington in retrospect. Brothers and sisters, we thank you for tuning in. My little sister Justice, I love you. You keep me honest and halfway decent, and you make sure that I stay motivated to end the system of racism and white supremacy so we can return this world to you, our youth, that you can go and do the beautiful things that I know you have in store to make your ancestors and your descendants proud. With that said, I'm going to give Brother Gus T Renegade the last say, and brothers and sisters, we thank you for listening, and we will see you on the battlefield.
Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Again, I want to thank the War on the Horizon for their support of my efforts and the work that they do, setting an excellent example for black people to work against white people consistently and have an impatience about it. We've been going through this a long time. We should be really looking to get rid of this problem immediately, immediate resolution. Thank you, Irritated Genie, for allowing us to participate in the broadcast, and we'll be back tomorrow. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately, and more black people need to get on the battlefield. Thank you.
My wife, my child, go out. This must never happen again.
Brothers and sisters, in honor of Black History Month, the first African insurrection musical in history is coming to Washington, D.C. That's right. War on the Horizon, in conjunction with Kamasi Industries, is bringing them Memphis Boys, Brother Keepers, to Washington, D.C. to do their nationally acclaimed play, 1831 Turner Street, on the life and times of the prophet Nat Turner. 1831 Turner Street is a place set in the modern climate of Black America. An elder meets a young brother and sister who are headed in the wrong direction. He steps in and provides parental guidance by teaching them about the life and times of Nat Turner the prophet. Black family, you'll laugh, cry, sing, and dance throughout the entire production. This play is for the entire Black family. Adults and children alike have agreed that this is the single best production they've ever seen live. 1831 Turner Street will be in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, February 20th, 2011 at the brand new ARC Theater. In order to make this event all that it should be, we need your financial support. We're trying to raise $10,000 by January 31st, 2011. Any amount you are able to give will be applauded. Donations in the following increments will be accompanied by a gift of appreciation. $50 to $99, part 1 of the Feminization of the Black Male series, our most popular DVD lecture on the condition of the Black male worldwide. $100 to $199, entertainment, Fighting the Poltergeist, a 3-disc DVD set containing over 6 hours of shocking information on the influence of Western media. $200 and up, the War on the Horizon Collection Series, an 8-disc DVD set which contains the entire Feminization and White Sex series and more. To make your contribution, you can mail a check or money order to War on the Horizon, P.O. Box 54501, Washington, D.C. 20032-9101. You can call us toll-free at 877-927-0011 or 202-309-9106 to make a credit card donation by phone. You may also go to our website homepage, waronthehorizon.com/site, and click on the donate button at the bottom of the page to make a contribution via PayPal using your PayPal account, your credit card, or bank draft. For more information, you can look us up on Facebook under War on the Horizon. Black people, remember, at War on the Horizon, we didn't come here to be your friend. We came here to save you. And we look forward to seeing you on the battlefield. War on the Horizon, gotta love you.